Okay. Yeah. Welcome.
Working? Yeah. Yes. Well, so as I mentioned, the institution where I served till last year, 6 years I was as a director there. So we had NBA accreditation done there. So I'll be sharing a lot of experiences from my side as well as mainly what is expected of NBA. The change the USB plug. Is there any other place to fix that? USB? But still, this is not working. Yes. Okay, these are the eligibility criteria. You are likely to know these. First is the programs for which 2 batches have passed out that should enroll for NBA. Right at the start, I mentioned that NBA accreditation is for a program, not for the institution. Rather, when you get an NBA accreditation letter from NBA or AICT authorities, they clearly mention that if you write anywhere that institution is NBA accredited, we will sue you. In the sense that your institution is not accredited by NBA, it is the program which is accredited. So if you go for engineering, so different streams or branches of engineering can have got separate program accreditation, not the institute, not the engineering college will get accredited. So you'll have to apply for PGDM as a program. If you're going for MMS, then that can also be another program which could be accredited, not the whole institution as NAAC does. So whichever courses and programs are there under that college or institution, all are accredited when NAAC is accredited. But NBA accreditates the programs. So first condition is that you have to have the 2 batches passed out from an institution. I mean, suppose 2 batches who have got the post graduation from your institution. Then 20% of the faculty members should be PhD when averaged out 2 academic years. That is current academic year and current academic year -1. CAY is current academic year, M for minus, and 1 is the figure. So in current academic year and current academic year -1, put the things together, then you take an average. So when you take an average, 20% of the faculty must have PhD, right? Those who are writing, there's already there in the circular. So there's no point in writing. Same way, for admission, 1 year they have added. So your admission should be more than 60% of the intake. So if you got 60 intake, then 36 admission plus must be there. 120, 72 admission plus should be there. For last 3 years, current year -1 and current academic year -2. So if you consider 23-24, if we apply for this year, 23-24, 22-23 and 21-22, you should have to have continuously more than 60% of the admissions. For faculty 23-24 and 22-23, average total number of faculty divided by 2, of course, and 20% of that should be PhD holders. At least 2 professors or 1 professor and 1 associate should be there in current academic year and current academic year -1. This talks about something what they called as a faculty ratio, cadre ratio. So cadre ratio you have to have according to your intake. Suppose you have got an intake of 60, batch of 60. It require batch of 180. I'll tell you because that is more easier for me. For 180 batch, you require 12 assistant professors, 4 associate, 1 professor and 1 director. Likewise, you can bring it down for the 60. For 60 intake, you don't require a professor. 120. So for 120, you will require 12 faculty members, out of which I guess there would be 3 associate professors will be required. Professor may not be required, and remaining assistant professors. Likewise it goes. So professor, if it is not required, then you have to show them that associate professors are there. That too in this year as well as 1 year before, academic year, current academic year as well as CAY -1. Then placement ratio of the students who have passed out. Again, they are taking for last 3 years, including existing one. Current academic year -1, and CAY -2. This placement should be more than 60%. And NBA is very stringent for any record of this document which you're showing to them. So if you mention that our placements are 83%, you have to prove it by each and every document. I'll come to it when we'll come to that particular parameter. And placements, fortunately, they consider not only the campus placement, but they will consider the people or the students who have gone for higher education, maybe MS somewhere else, or maybe who have done PhD after MBA. Those could also be considered for higher education. So that figure is also could be counted in placements, as well as those students who start with their own businesses. So entrepreneurs could also be put in there. So total, all these 3 things put together should have the average of more than 60% for last 3 years, including this one, current academic year -1, -2. And last but not the least, faculty to student ratio should not be less than or equal to 1:25. So it should not be going down. It can be on a higher side, 1:20, 1:15. 1:20 is very common in most of the institutes. Pardon? This is recent one. Yeah, this is. See, no, 1:25 is the lower one. 1:20 is higher. 1:15 will be higher. Student to faculty to student ratio. So if you want to go for eligibility, basic eligibility, 1:25 faculty should be there in last 3 years. Number of students admitted, so 120 to 20. That ratio you have to find out. 1:20, that's why I've told you 12. So 12 comes for 1:20 proportion. And the reason for this is that if you have got 1:20 faculty, you can go in for 3 years of accreditation. But if you have got 1:15 faculty, you can go it for 6 years. That is the distinction in the last criterion. So if you want to apply for 6 years, you have to have 1:15 ratio for faculty student ratio. This is in general, at least you should have to have 1:25. These are the eligibility criteria to apply for, and then its implication part comes here. So there are 10 criteria, as you know them. One is vision, mission, and program educational objectives. Second is governance, leadership, financial resources. Third is program outcome and course outcome, POCO. Curriculum and learning process, students' quality and performance, faculty attributes and contribution, industry and international connect, infrastructure, alumni performance and connect, and continuous improvement. So let's see these one by one, very much in detail. I'll tell you which kind of documents do they expect, what kind of cross checks they do have, what kind of quality checks wherever required they will be implemented. So criterion 1 is about vision, mission, program, education objectives. At the right hand end, you will find the total number of marks given here. In each smaller rows, you will find the marks for those sub criteria. So vision, mission statements, you have to have vision, mission statements. And when I started my session, I talked about vision, mission statements. So if you think that it is necessary to change or revise the vision, mission statement, you have to do it. You have to prove it that we have revise the vision, mission statements, prove it in the sense that you have to maintain the documents about there was a circular issued, then those many number of people were there. Then you can show some kind of such person invited to speak on, decide and guide you on brainstorming on vision and mission. And then you can formulate the statements, then revise the statements, modify the statements, make those statements grammatically correct, so and so forth. So you have to show that the process of vision, mission statements designing has happened. If you want to change, if it is there, doesn't matter. And if you think it is still valid for the vision, mission for next 10 years to come, you don't need to change. But then you have to prove that it is there, and that vision, mission statement itself will carry 5 marks. Now, this is slightly a qualitative aspect which probably the committee visiting will think about. They will see whether you have got a vision or mission statements leading to it, which are futuristic. That is the reason, or that is the very much meaning of vision. Vision is looking into the future 5 years, 10 years down the line, where your institution and the surrounding and the market is likely to go, and what challenges the surrounding market will put forth in front of you. So are you ready to face those challenges should be reflected in the vision statement. So this slightly qualitative aspect, the committee will decide whether they want to give you 5 marks or 3 marks or 2 marks. That will depend on the committee. But then you have to have it first of all. Second thing is program educational objectives statements. Now these PEOs should be in a typical university affiliated system. These are the POs which are mentioned in the university syllabus. For PGDM institution, you will have to define PEOs. That means what is the objective of program PGDM as such? What educational objective your program has? You have to define those POs. You have to correlate these POs with the mission statement. That is how it will happen. That course outcome of which every person is teaching. Course means subject. Those are the nomenclatures which are nowadays changed, I could say. Subject is called as a course, and the degree is called as a program. So MBA is a program, PGDM is a program, and the subjects which you are teaching is called as a course. So every course has been defined to have certain kind of outcomes. In a system like PGDM, you will have to define these course outcomes as well. And then those course outcome are to be matched up or mapped with something called as a program outcome overall. So if the person passes out PGDM from your institution, when he will be passing out and getting a degree of PGDM, what are the outcomes what he should get after passing out? Those are program outcomes for the entire PGDM program. Those he will be able to achieve only when each course is mapped with the program outcome. So program outcomes could be that for PGDM you can decide how many program outcomes should be there. Otherwise, I have seen in Pune University syllabus, they have got 10 program outcomes. Mumbai University syllabus, I have seen they have got again some 12 program outcomes. MCA syllabus has got some 6 program outcomes. So those are defined by university. So you have got that, I would say, advantage to decide your program outcome, and that is where earlier international accreditation will be focusing more. So what is your vision? What is your mission? Based on that, your program outcomes are going to be defining. And these program outcomes are to be again correlated with program educational objectives. So educational objectives are to be defined first. In line with this, there is something called as a graduate attribute. I mean, what kind of qualities, what kind of skills, competencies the person who's doing PGDM is expected to inculcate. So you make the list of those skills, GAs, we call it as GAs, graduate attributes. Those GAs to be correlated with program education objective. According to the competencies which you want to inculcate, the objectives have to be defined in that direction. The objective will be achieved only when you have got a program outcome. So GAs, PEOs, and POs, graduate attribute, program education objectives, and program outcome are to be interlinked with each other. And then each course outcome, that is the outcome of every subject, outcome of every course which you individually is teaching, is mapped with PO. I'll come more on detail when we'll come to that criteria number 3. Okay, so PEO, if not defined, you have to define it. Okay, that will again carry 5 marks, which is again in relationship with vision and mission of the institution, whether you have got to match up with your vision to reach to the vision of the institution, we have got your objective also going in that direction or not. Dissemination among stakeholders has got 10 marks. Now, it is not that only the people who are in the institution should know PEOs. Who are in the institution should know vision and mission. Ideally, what is the vision and mission of your institution? Everybody around you should be knowing. That's what they call as the stakeholders. Stakeholders are the people who have got direct or indirect interest or maybe advantage or benefit out of your institution. Now, who are the stakeholders for any PGDM institution? First of all, of course, the management who started with that institution. Second is the faculty members for the teachers, then non-teaching staff. Third stakeholder. Fourth, of course, is students, not in a proper sequence as I'm just giving you the list. Students is another major stakeholder who's going to take GAs out of this particular program or POs out of the PGDM. Fourth stakeholder, then parents of the students, another stakeholder, society, nearby location. Then if you have got some financial help taken from some banks or maybe financial institutions, those will also become stakeholders. Then as somebody said something from you, suppliers, vendors of even hard materials as well as the software, some kind of your prescription for your library book vendors, etc. So suppliers and vendors, those are going to be stakeholders. Then your publishing, advertising people, and of course the all governing bodies like AICT, your own governing body, college development body, then DT if you're required to help get the help from them, government of Maharashtra who will be giving you sanction to start with the institute, etc. So everybody who has got some direct or indirect interest or advantage out of your institution, those should know what is the vision and mission of your institution. And that could be seen by this particular point known as dissemination, means how are you making to know all the stakeholders that this is our vision and mission. And this could be done by physical dissemination, and second is virtual dissemination. Physical dissemination is that means you should have to have vision and mission statements. This hall, you should have to have at least one vision mission statement in this hall. Every classroom you should have. Every passage should have. Every faculty cabin, if at all you have got separate, then a common faculty room should have to have. Director's cabin must have to have vision mission board. Then in common places like canteen, restrooms, etc., walking places, then maybe in the somewhere on the lawn nearby. So you have to have vision and mission so that people, I mean, the students will keep on reading it whenever they happen to come across that board. That is point number one, which you can have a dissemination in a physical format. In virtual, you have to do it many places. First is, of course, your website. So it should be very clear when somebody clicks to your homepage, the first thing should be seen as the vision and mission of the institution. Then whichever publications you are having, if you have got a journal publication, then the first page, I mean, when you open up, first page should be vision and mission. If you have got a placement brochure being printed, either print form or a soft copy nowadays, e-brochure, what do you call, it should have to have brochure, vision and mission statements. Then whenever, if suppose you're carrying out any kind of FDP, which is published and circulated to entire India, any conference, that conference leaflet, conference brochure should have to have vision and mission. So wherever possible, you are making the people know that this is a vision and mission, wherever possible. And that is what they assume as dissemination. Dissemination is making the people know what is the mission to such an extent that a watchman at the gate should also know the vision of the institution. So when we did our MBA, we translated, since I am equally conversant with English and Marathi, so I translated all vision and mission in Marathi. And we explained that vision and mission to all the non-teaching staff, all maushis, menial staff who clean the toilets, then watchmen. We made them understand what is the vision. The vision itself is very difficult to understand even for faculty members. So making the watchman understand itself is a difficult task to do. Then we made it vernacular language and we make them understand it to some extent. There are probably very rare cases where the NBA visiting committee will ask to the watchman what is the vision of the institution. But the ideology says that even the watchman should know why I'm here. You know, there was a case which is always taught to the OB students that some temple construction was going on, and then it was asked to the people on the construction side, what are you doing here? So the worker who's working there as a mason is saying, I'm constructing this building which is made up of brick and mortar. So I'm doing that work. Then there was somebody who was saying that I'm getting the money if I work on this site. I'm an unskilled labor, so I'm working here for getting the money. Then there is somebody who said that after this temple is going to be ready, I will be devoting the God which is going to be situated in this temple. So I'm dreaming about my God being situated here. Therefore, I'm working on this site. Somebody says that I want to get some different kind of an ecstasy by being into meditative situation after the temple is being constructed. So everybody may be having a different intention or different connection with your institution. So you need to tell them what are we and why you were doing it. Everybody let them see from their own spectacles. But then you should be knowing this is our vision. What do you understand out of it? That is important. For example, when I walked in your campus, the watchman there, he asked me, who are you? Where are you coming from? You know, to make an entry. So there is nothing wrong, because from safety perspective also, you can go to any corporate, you will have to do all those kind of things. Even at times, there is one institution in Pune, which is into online education, and they have got all the courses online. Admission happens online, payment of fees online, all instructional things happening online. There are YouTube videos uploaded, the instruction material just to them in an e-form. Then they have to appear examination also e-form. They get results also online, and they get the final degree also online. They don't have to see the face of the institution. Now, this institution has a method that when the person comes into the campus of that institution, that person says if he is carrying a two-wheeler, that dicky is checked. If he is carrying a four-wheeler dicky is also checked. That if he is carrying out specifically any material, which is of course a copyrighted material out of the campus. This is again, that culture is required, that kind of system is required. So there is nothing wrong, whatever system of safety you have. So when I entered here, that watchman asked me to make an entry. If somebody might have thought of it as an insult, इतने पुणे से आए invite किया है और watchman मुझे लिखने के लिए बोल रहा है, but then fine, that is the system. Point here is that that system is designed to keep the campus safe for any intruders, if at all any. So that person is following, he is doing his right. Very often we do fight with such kind of people who are at the gate. Do you know who I am? हमको कैसे रखने के लिए बोलते हैं? That is not required, because that is something to do with the dissemination. So that watchman there should also be knowing that what is this PGDM Institute all about, what they do, they teach, at least, even if he may not be able to tell the name of the subjects and courses, even if he doesn't know the full form of the PGDM, doesn't know, it doesn't matter. But then he should be knowing why he is standing there. This is the intention. And even if he understands the vision, mission statement might be more than that, but vision statement is always one. Try to make him understand in the best possible way you can make him understand. As I said, I repeat, the committee may not go and ask him. The committee may, I have not never seen that a committee is asking to a menial staff, a toilet cleaning staff, आओ बताओ बोले vision क्या है इस institute का. That may not happen, but then ideally it says that it should be known to all the stakeholders, because those are also one of the stakeholders. So dissemination, they will very clearly see where you are displaying. In short, dissemination display, whether it is in hard copy, soft copy, ISSN printed journal, if you got, that has to be there. If your institution is writing book with 3-4 faculties put together, authored by St. Francis Institute, then that book should also have should have to have vision and mission. So whichever thing is going out and likely to be connected with the outsiders, all stakeholders for that matter. You might be sending some kind of information leaflet, brochure, reports to your parents. That should also, you can include vision mission there, so that you can make the people know. You may have a separate session, as I did in my institute. Every year at the start of the year, we do conduct a parents meet where we call all the parents and we tell them, as a director, I have told them what is the vision, what is the mission, what is the meaning of each. So I spoke somewhere around half an hour to make the parents also understand to which institution they have put in their wards. That is the intention. So even the parents or even the lowermost category grade person should be knowing, and it is your responsibility to disseminate to make those things reach to all stakeholders for that matter. A formulation process, I mentioned that if you are anyway changing this vision and mission, that may be required. Otherwise, you may have to tell them that this was a process which was decided at that time, or the design at that time, vision mission design at the time, whatever process they might have followed. So you simply have to prove how this vision and mission statement has come from where, what is the thought process behind it, what is the culture of your institution, etc. So for this, they might rather in one of the points, one of the visits of NB committee, they will have an interaction with the governing body of the institution. So your parent institute, they will, parent society, they will have an interaction with them. From there, they might take the marks for this particular parameter. How have they formulated this vision and mission? But then they are giving more importance for 15 marks. Consistency of PEOs with the mission. Now there is one, I would say, a grade or a matrix which you need to prepare, where mission will be on, PEOs will be on a y-axis and missions will be on a x-axis horizontally. So mission statement you will write, and PEOs you have defined objectives, as I've said. If you don't have in your syllabus, you have to design those you will write it on a vertical axis, and you will correlate each PEO with, say, let's say there are some 7 mission statements and say 6 POs. So PO1 with M1, PO2 with PO1 with M2 up to M7. You will have to map these. Now mapping means trying to find out a correlation between that statement of PO and statement of mission. It may happen that some PEOs may not match with mission. Some PEOs may not match with some of the missions. It is not necessary that each PO should match with each M1, each mission. Not necessary. PO1 might map with only one M1 and M7, may not be in between. PO2 may map with maybe M3, M4, and M5. So it is not necessary that every PO should be matched with every mission statement. But whatever it is, you have to prepare a matrix where you will show this mapping. I'll come to it when we'll go to topic number 3, where it will be explained more in detail. But the idea will be more clear there. So there has to be some consistency in mission, because as I said, based on your vision and mission, you will define the program education objectives of your PGDM course. Sorry, PGDM program. I should not make mistake there. PGDM is a program. So what is the objective of your program? That objective should lend into vision and mission of the institution. So therefore, The consistency has to be shown there, that POs and mission statements are matching with each other, and that matrix is likely to fetch 50 marks. Criterion 2. Criterion 2 carries 100 marks, which is about governance, leadership, and financial resources. These 100 are further subdivided, 60 on this slide and 40 in next slide. Governance and leadership, again further subdivided marks and subdivided points here. Governance structure and policies. This has 25 marks, further broke up into 10, 5, 5. So these 25 marks are divided into governing structure. Governing structure is, in simple terms, in commerce terminology, we call it an OC, organizational chart. So how is your parent body? How many institutions are there under each parent body? Under each institution, what is the structure of each institutional separately program as such? So PGDM, who's heading that? So maybe director will be at the top. Above the director, there is a governing body. Above the governing body, there might be some officials from a parent society. Below the director, there might be faculty members on one side of a branch. On the other side, there are non-teaching staff. There may be library also. Placement also may be a separate branch. That is not a standard. So how do you define, your organization define? That will be accepted by the NBA committee, provided you will be able to justify it properly. So there has to be some governing structure. That is the meaning. It is in short a diagrammatic representation of your entire group and your institution made separate. So you may have two OCs, one for the entire group, whatever number of institution you have got under the umbrella of your main parent body, and then secondly, PGDM, this particular institution. And under that, as I mentioned, director, placement, non-teaching, etc. And under that, you can go ahead. So that program structure, a governing structure has to be there. That will carry 10 marks. Then service rules. No doubt there are authorities like AICT, then university, UGC, and maybe some other, even some of the our Maharashtra government gazettes also speaking about the service rules for the faculty members, like assistant professor, there are different norms, associate, there are different professor, who can be dean, who can be director, like etc. etc. So those service, based on those norms, you need to provide, prepare the service rules, which are nothing but following the norms which have been defined by some or the other controlling authority. So you have to simply show that whatever the government is talking about, we have got the same service rules and we are following. This will also include your leave policies, leave rules, regulations, then your salary calculations, then all the components of the salary, which are again made standardized by the bodies AICT and then government gazettes. The AICT will be making a gazette after they come out with a final decision on these parameters. So service rules, in short, is nothing but following of the norms which are being predefined, which are supposed to be standardized across the country, right? EQUIS and AMBA will be giving importance to your equivalence with international standards also. Probably from salary point of view, we may not be able to match up with any of the international standards, right? Otherwise, there wouldn't have been faculty shifting from India to some another country. The faculty, of course, the salary is one of the reasons. But then still, whatever is standard according to Indian standards, that you should be following minimum. As earlier also I was mentioning, that as far as the salary is concerned, we have got certain pay scale, we know, assistant professor, certain basic, then increment, 7th pay commission doesn't mention about the slab of increment in between. So there are only two figures starting and the last in that particular bracket, then associate professor, then there is senior associate professor, professor, dean, and then director. So each of these do have got something called as a pay structure or pay scale. In academics, we call it as pay scale, and in industry, they call it as a pay structure. So it has got the basic fundamental salary, then it will get added to different kind of additives like your dearness allowance, house rent allowance, CCA, LTA, so many additions. Then on the subtraction side, we call it as standard deductions, which you all know. Probably your housing, if the company is giving you house for free, but actually it is not for free. It is deducted from your salary. That's why we have got a concept called as CTC in corporate, not in academics. So CTC is cost to company. So they might be giving you a package of say 12 lakh rupees, but then it comes to 1 lakh rupees per month. Actually, you will be getting only 60,000 rupees in hands. So rest all will be going to the directions towards your group insurance, your individual insurance, transportation facility provided to you, residential at the company campus provided to you, contribution to provident fund if it is in, then employee insurance, then maybe some additional perks and benefits which are given to you. Those all will be deducted from your salary. So whatever your salary structure is there, by this means, by this service rules, you simply have to prove that whatever are the standards for academic institution for these different designations, we are following it. And those service rules should be a well documented thing you have to produce to AICT, and it shouldn't be prepared when the AICT visit is likely to be there. I mean, NBA visit is likely to be there. That has to be a long defined process. You have to prove it. It is there existing for us, at least during what we call the assessment years for this NBA accreditation. Service rules. Similarly, policies. Policies are one step ahead of service rules. Service rules are something which are mandatory. There might be some policies which may not be mandatory, but it will be helping for the engagement of your faculty members as well as the motivation of the faculty members. As somewhere earlier I mentioned about the conference grant, then seminar grant, then research grant, research paper publications, then different kind of some additional leaves, on duty leaves, then study leaves, then maternity leave, paternity leaves. Those on one side, those are definitely legitimate. But then most of the academic institution may not be following it. But then if your organization institution is following it, that will be coming under different kind of policies. These policies are not only for the faculty. Each activity whichever you are having in your institution should have to have a policy document. Placement is a policy. So you have to have a policy document for the placement, that who is eligible student for placement. And many institutions are incidentally doing it. If I want a student to be eligible for placement, some institution like where I work, we have got a condition that 75% attendance is mandatory. Though you may be knowing it is anyways mandatory, but for any university system. But then in reality, it doesn't happen. Most of the graduation colleges, I'm talking about the non-professional graduation colleges, they don't have attendance at all. But they're still at the end of somewhere in the middle of the semester, the principal signs that the above student has 75% attendance in the college. But practically that has to be there and it is to be proven. So policies for students, so placement policy I was talking about, 75% attendance is mandatory. Then he is supposed to do 3 certifications and provide the certificate at the time of placement. Then he has to submit all the assignment, then first class, etc. So we have got certain criteria made for making that student to be eligible for placement. So this is a placement policy. Likewise, I may have conference policy, seminar policy, then HR meet policies, then recruitment policies, etc. N number of policies. I had almost 58 different policies prepared for my institution. Those policies should be there, and those policies should be proven that the institution is actually being run based on those policies which we have prepared. So we are following those policies that should be proven somewhere. So documentation itself is carrying 5 marks, whether you have got the policies at place, the NDA committee will see, and the verification will be coming at the later stages. Strategic plan, which I mentioned right at the start of today's session, which AACSB, it starts with strategic plan. So what strategic plan, futuristic plan, perspective plan, whatever you call, 5 years plan that you have in place. So you have to see, again, this is one thing which might be a bit qualitative. They will see what is your vision, mission, what is that you are looking at into the future from the perspective of your institution, what your institution can do to society, at least to the nearby fraternity, etc. So that strategic plan will carry 5 marks. Faculty empowerment is 15 marks. This may be one of the part of the policies, faculty development policies. So if I am sending some faculty for a faculty development program, which may be, let's say, organized by AICT and which is a 7-day offline program, let's say in I am Indore, which is costing somewhere around 20,000 rupees. And then he'll be staying there, if not on free accommodation, he might have to stay in hotel, he might have to travel from this place to Indore, wherever he might be attending. So what is the policy which I have got? So again, you can define the policies according to your convenience and your adjustments. But then what we have done we have done the policies based on the cadre of the faculty. So for assistant professor, some percentage of conference fees are paid. As you go on the higher level, this percentage goes on increasing, and maybe to the director level it is 100%. So whatever director attends, wherever director goes, he should be getting 100% of the expenses. Maybe at actual you can decide, or maybe there's a facility of giving an allowance that if a director goes to some another city for whatever reason, he will get, say, let's say 7,000 rupees a daily allowance. So in that 7,000 rupees, his food for 2 times and probably his breakfast and his stay, everything is covered. So then let the director decide whether he'll be staying in a 2,000 rupees hotel or a 14,000 rupees in a hotel, and he will put 7,000 rupees from his own pocket. But then you have to have some such kind of policy defined, maybe based on the cadre, and those policies have to be very well defined and been shown implemented. Policy is not a document. It is for the implementation as well. So maybe for document, you will get the marks here. You will get the marks here, but then its implementation will be coming in the criteria number 6 or wherever. So faculty development policy has to be there, means how much the organization is committed to development of the faculty by making them develop. We have a name called as FDPs, faculty development programs. Again, the same question comes there, what I talked about when I explained T&D and L&D. So FDPs we do attend. But then once we come back, whether the development has really happened in that faculty, that may be a big question. So you have to ask that question to yourself, whether there was some change in me before I attended that and after I attended it. This fortunately happened during Corona time when it started, and when we thought about online education, that was a news, or that may be a new practice which we never probably did as compared to all other outside institutions or universities. They were into online teaching, online learning quite long back. But then it was a big task for all of us. So how do you do that? So there are very many institutions, including ours, where we have conducted a faculty development program on engaging the students online. So if some faculty attends that program, it was a 3-day program which we had, and we taught them many different kind of gamification software, then different kind of interesting engagement software, Mentimeter, Hot Potatoes, etc. So that you can keep the people also engaged, online polls, etc. So those faculty development programs we conducted, and those really help them. So unless and until that faculty development program is really going to bring in some kind of development in you, that FDP is invalid. Usually that's what it happens. Even in companies also, they call it as MDPs, management development programs. Most of the management development programs are in Lonavala, maybe Mahabaleshwar, or maybe Uti. So these are all excursion places or tourist places. So how there can be learning happening? So that so the question always comes that when the managers go back to their workplaces, they are really not taken any advantage of that MDP they have undergone. So no development. It was only for them. All these managers are allowed to take their family also with them when they go for MDP. So how they will be interested in listening to somebody learning? Again, that equation comes. Learning happens only at your own end. So here they are talking about the real development that is to be proven by some kind of statistics and figures. I'll be coming to it a bit later. So whether that faculty development has really happened or not, there has to be proven. But then yes, if you have got policies, not only in monetary terms, how many faculty development programs should one faculty attend in a year? So one faculty may say, no, I will attend 12 programs, one in every month, may not be allowed because he has to complete the syllabus and all other activities as well. So how many programs one FDP, one faculty should attend in a year, in a semester? That is also part of policy. What is the maximum you can have, take the funding from the institution? That can also be the policy. What is the distance where you will be traveling from? That it can also be the policy. If you are traveling far out distance, if you require 3 days to travel from railway, better you go in 1 hour by aeroplane, whether you will be sanctioning that amount or not. That can also be the policy. So policy is not only monetary terms, but all these other aspects also covered. What kind of faculty development programs you want to attend? Usually policy will say that with relation to your specialization, you attend only the FDPs, or maybe in generalistic thing, you can do it. So you may promote the faculty to attend the programs wherein they are expert in, which is related to or maybe allied with the specialization. So it has to be a policy. Whatever parts you want to inculcate, those have to be mentioned, reflected in the policy, reflected in the implementation of the policy. Usually we consider one in a semester. So could be sent outside. FDP means your faculty can go outside. If you are organizing 5 FDPs, 6 FDPs in one semester, then they can attend all. But then we have got all other academic and administrative activities also. So we have to keep ourselves free somewhere in between. So it happens haphazardly, half-heartedly attending those FDPs. But outside, we had a policy. You may have 2 or 3 programs in a semester. That totally depends on the institution. There is no particular standard as. So you can decide how many conferences you should attend, how many research papers should be sanctioned or sponsored by the institution, how many FDP should be sponsored. If some faculty has attended, let's say, one according to the mandate, you decided that faculty will attend only one program in one semester, one FDP in one semester. And they've said there is some another FDP comes up which is of his interest, which will definitely help the institution as well, and he wants to attend. You may sanction only OD. Maybe let him pay all the expenses, own all the expenses, but then let it be in the policy. So ideally, we allow one FDP per semester, but if faculty wants to go for another FDP, he will have to pay, he will have to bear all the expenses on his own. The institution may sanction OD. So you may put may. So it includes may not. So you decide. Whatever it is, it has to be a document. And then you have to show that, and that they will be so much, I would say, going deep into it. They will point out any FDP attended by a faculty, and you claim that this has been sponsored by the institution. They will say your accounts, दिखाओ इसका फीस पे किया है, ऑनलाइन आपके अकाउंट में से गया है, इनका ट्रैवलिंग पे किया है, आपके अकाउंट में से गया है. So they will check, they will go to any extent while checking all the documents. Okay, coming back to the point is that you have to have some policy. You have to have, definitely. Then decentralization, delegation of power, and collective decision making, where you are giving empowerment to the faculty to take the decisions. Now, this empowerment could be restricted or could be limited to their own course teaching methodologies. They can decide the marks which they give. They can decide on what basis they will be giving the marks, on what basis they will be conducting. In our syllabus, we call it CCEs, comprehensive concurrent evaluation. I don't know what you call. In simple ones, we call it assignments. So on what basis the assignments will be evaluated, that power may be given to the faculty members. Then deciding which particular program should he attend, which particular FDPs, conference he should attend, let that power be given to the faculty. Here we are not talking about financial powers. Financial powers anyways are not expected to be given to any faculty members. Those are maybe the dean and maybe director. So here we are talking about only related to his subjects, and that is to be proven. For example, now usually this is a system in any education institution that you have got a term end semester examination. And then if it is a university affiliated university, we have got another examination. So we call it as an internal examination and university examination. But taking internal examination is not mandatory. So I can have, instead of one internal examination, just in a format which I mentioned in the session earlier, 3 hours of answer sheet, he will be writing anything like mad, and we'll give him marks. Just if he's written 2 pages, we'll give him 6 marks out of 10. That shouldn't happen. So instead that, I'll not have an exam. 5 units I have. For each 5 units, I will have got some other assignment, which should be unique assignment. Now here, whether in the example which I'm giving or otherwise in most of the MBA activities, the faculty members have got lot more things to do, lot of work we have to do. Whenever I used to give the assignment, you will definitely be surprised to know I was teaching to 180 students, all the 3 divisions. For each of my subject, for each of my assignment, every student used to have different assignment. 180 students write later, say business later, 180 topics, which increases our work. I'll have to find out those many number of topics. Otherwise, in general, I'll write one question. Everybody, or maybe 1 or 10% people will write rest, 90% will copy in their own and then submit. That will not come out with CO, PO, that will not happen. So therefore, we have to be very specific, and faculty have to work a lot. So you can have 1 or 2 or 3 university, I'm talking about Pune University. When I say university, my university, Pune University. So they make it mandate to have 3 assignments for a full course subject, university, 3 credit subject. And for internal, you can have 2 assignments. University syllabus nowhere mentions that you should have to have an internal examination. Internal examination not mandatory, because that is also one of the method of evaluation. So how do you evaluate the students? That let the faculty decide. I cannot ask or make it mandatory and uniform to all the faculty members. How do you evaluate a student when it comes to a paper like accounting and when it comes to a paper like organizational behavior? The content, the focus, the intention, the outcome of both the papers are different. So I cannot have the same way of assessment as it happens. 3 hours paper for all the subjects, not justified. So let every faculty have that autonomy or delegation of power, that he will decide how he wants to give the marks to every individual. Ultimately, he is answerable to not only MBA committee but to the students as well. So when I give marks to some student, say 17 out of 20, and another student gets 16 out of 20, I must be able to explain to that student why 16 given to him, why 17 to him, why 1 mark more to him. He will not ask. 16% will ask why 1 mark less to me. So you should be able to justify why you give 1 mark less to him. So your answerable, the committee will also ask you, what is the basis on which you have given the 16 marks? You cannot tell them he has written 2 pages, I have given 6 out of 10, then another 2 pages, 4 out of 10. That doesn't justify. So you have to prove, because there is a relation which I'll be talking in criteria number 3, CU and PU. By designing the assignments, you have to be very categorical, and there probably you have got the power to use that in marking and making the results of your own subject or the course which you're teaching. So they will have these 10 marks. They might at random ask any faculty to show them or present them their CCEs, etc. That point we'll discuss again later. Financial resources, are we on? Yeah, we are still on criteria number 2. Earlier was 60 and this remaining 40 are the financial resources, where it talks about budget allocation, utilization, public accounting for standalone management institute, management department of the institution, 40 marks, adequacy of the budget allocation, utilization, and then availability of audited statement on the website. AICT is making it mandatory that you must have your balance sheet uploaded on your website. Whichever institutions come under the arena of AICT, it is mandatory for them. At least they expect that at the time of admission, all these documents should be there uploaded. So they will give you only the uploaded on the website, you will fetch 10 marks, irrespective of what figures, whether you're going into losses or whether you're going to profit, that doesn't matter. But only display will carry 10 marks. Then further, it asks about this 40 marks are divided to 50, 15, and 10. Adequacy of budget allocation. Now, all the institutions fortunately have the system that there is a governing body which is controlled by the parent institution. So parent institution will give some guidelines to governing body for different institutions, and GB will have got meetings with the institutional heads as well as some other members in that GB. So during the GB meetings, which is ideally expected to happen once in 6 months, so twice in an annum, as well as earlier it was called as local managing committee. Now it is called as a college development committee, CDC. So that also has to have 2 meetings in a year. So 6 months, 1 GB, 1 CDC, and whatever you want to decide, whether it is policy, whether it is facilities, whether additional benefits, whatever you want to do as far as the governance of your institution is concerned, those have to be sanctioned in the GB and CDC meeting. Similarly, whatever budget you prepare for the next financial year to come, that has to be presented to the CDC first, then it goes to GB, and then GB will be finally sanctioning it. If at all you got some authority over and above that, that authority also has to sanction. Now, all these have to be documented properly. Means agenda of the meeting prepared 3 years before, sent to the GB members and CDC members. That proof you have to have. GB minutes of meeting prepared, you have to maintain one register where you may take a printout and paste the pages. That's also okay. But then in very olden system, they used to write it manually with hand. But then fine, they accept it with the technology. But then you have to maintain a hard copy of all these. NBA committee, it may be depending on the committee. Some of the committees will insist on not having many hard copies. So they will show us only one as an example. Rest all could be in a soft copy. But then that is a choice of the committee. You do not know which kind of committee would come. So better be prepared for the hard copies for some such kind of important documents. So you should have to have a GB agenda till minutes of meeting, till is ATR, action taken report. Whatever minutes of meeting you have prepared and some action has to be taken by the next GB. Next GB minutes of meeting should reflect that some point was raised in an earlier GB and this was to be done and this is done. So minutes of meeting and action taken report for all the assessment years should be ready in a hard copy and very well proven. So there, one of the points, of course, where I diverted from, one of the points is budget. So to get the budget presented to CDC first, then they will sanction it, and then it goes to GB, and then it will go back to director to implementation of the budget. So how do you sanction the budget? The adequacy of the budget, probably finance and commerce people will understand what are the different heads are there in it, how do you allocate the amounts for those, and then actual implementation will come, utilization of allocated. So how do you decide that for this particular activity, how much percentage of funds should be made available? So if you see the general statistics and financial figures, around 70 to 75% of the budget goes into the salary of teaching and non-teaching. And that's how we have got another company. I don't know whether it is applicable to PGDM. Do you have fees regulating authority, FRA? No, you don't have. So only for university system. So we have to submit all our expenses to FRA, and then FRA will decide how much fees my institution should charge. The more the expenses, the more fees I can charge. But then again, in it, 75% they will consider for the salaries and student development, and only 25% expenses they will consider for all other expenses like infrastructure, then maybe whatever facilities you will require. Okay, so point is, what is the budget which you have prepared, whether that is sanctioned in a governing body meeting or not, and how we have allocated those budgeted funds. In a percentage wise, you can make one Excel sheet, and the NBA committee sees that. NBA committee has got a separate meeting only with the accountant, where director, top authorities, nobody is supposed to meet. That is a specialty of NBA committee. When they will meet faculty, only faculty will be there. Director is not there. When they meet parents, only parents will be there. When they meet management, director won't be there. When they meet alumni, only alumni will be there. And they will have a separate meeting only with accountant. So they will see whether or whatever you have claimed to be in an SAR, whether those practices are actually being happening or not. And of course, when the committee comes, they have very thoroughly gone through a SAR. So they have already, chalked out the questions which they want to ask. And more of the questions are more related to your financial resources. Anyways, it carries 40 marks, which is also a big figure. Before we go ahead, you must be aware that NBA getting accreditation, you will have to get 600 marks out of 1000 to get NBA accredited. NBA accredited is a, what do you call, binary system. Either you have accreditation or you don't have. Just like NAAC, they don't give you any kind of grades. Starting from B plus, B double plus, A double plus is also there now. Earlier, NAAC A was the highest grade. Now it is A double plus is a higher grade. But NBA doesn't give you any kind of grade. Your institution, the program is accredited by NBA or not. That's the only. So you can put PGDM program is accredited by NBA, not the institution, a program. So you may get successful or you may not. Again, I have got the experience, or rather I would be fortunate to have both the experiences. When I started my teaching career, the institution where I was working, they applied for NBA and they failed. So we didn't get NBA accreditation for some reasons that I don't want to talk here. But then we didn't get. So that is also one side, and the other side, I got NBA accreditation for the institution where I was working as a director. So what is expected? That time I was, of course, an assistant professor, very junior level. So I was not knowing much about it. But then once I became a director, I had gone through all the nooks of the NBA, what they are likely to know, what they are likely to ask, what kind of documentation. And then we did the work. But then this is one of the things which they asked for. At present, I am consulting to 3 institutions for NBA, right from scratch to facing the committee when they'll come. 2 are in, one is in Ahmednagar district, one is in Nasik district, one is in Mumbai, under Mumbai University in Khed, Ratnagiri, so which comes under Mumbai University. So there I tell them how these things are to be actually shown. The base part, or I'll put it in a bracket, the worst part is that you cannot fake. You cannot fake any document, you cannot fake any record. You have to be very much transparent and you have to be proving all the things. So finance is, of course, very important part of it. So it will carry 40 marks. Can we break? Okay, it's already. So we'll start with criterion 3 after the break. What time should we reassemble? 20 minutes? Okay. No, but we started half an hour late. That one tea break in between was not scheduled. 1 o'clock. We'll ask them to come 1 o'clock so that we can start 5 minutes here and there. Oh, sorry. 2 o'clock, sorry. Okay. Hello. Hello. Just check. Hello. Yes, I think it's working. Hello. 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 Working. This needs to be switched on, I think. Hello. Hello. Yeah. Should we start? Okay. 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 So we'll talk about criteria number 3. Okay. Now this is the most crucial criterion as compared to NAAC and NBA is concerned. So NAAC also has added COPO, but then it doesn't have much weightage as such. But NBA has given special 100 marks weightage on program outcomes and course outcome. This is further subdivided into 50 marks for program outcome and 50 for course outcome. Now, this program outcome is again one thing which is in the university system ideally provided by the university. But for PGDM and similar kind of autonomous institution, you will have to define the program outcomes. So that those statements are supposed to be designed by you. There is no any standard as such, but then probably 10 or 12 will be too many POs. And so 6 to 10 is an ideal figure to have program outcomes. If you are not defined, you have to define it. You can, of course, take the help of other universities and other ready-made syllabi, and then you can try to somewhere find a golden mean. So PO is one thing which is required to be defined. It further classifies that 15 marks are given about how do you collect the data which will prove that you are trying to correlate a course outcomes with the program outcome. Those tables and statistics which appears to be very much complicated, but actually it's a very simple process which I may not be able to tell you all right now. So there are certain course outcomes which every subject has, which as I said, the subject is called as a course outcome, and ideally every course outcome should have to have the number of units equal to either 5 or 6. The reason for this is that these course outcomes are related to the Bloom's taxonomy levels, and Bloom's taxonomy levels can reach up to 6 maximum, and 6 is the creative level or the create level where most of the courses may not reach. So most of the courses may have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units, and rare few may have 6 units. Say, for example, designing HR policies can have 6 units, where a student of HR specialization can think about designing HR policies, which goes to the creative level. In a subject like probably SPSS, accounting, financial management, there may not be any creative level or level 6 of Bloom's taxonomy. So in general, I would say more than 85 to 90% of the courses would reach to the 5 level of Bloom's taxonomy, and remaining 10% might reach to the 6 level. So summarily, there should be either 5 or maximum 6 COs for every course. Again, the COs are ideally in a university system are defined by university itself. But if it is not, in case of PGDM or similar kind of autonomous structure, you will have to define these COs. You have to follow the guidelines which I just now told now. So unit number 1 is to be correlated with Bloom's taxonomy level number 1, that remains at remembering level. then unit number 2, BTL level number 2, unit 3, BTL level 3, unit 5, BTL number 5, and unit 6, if at all it is there, credit level. So you will have to think about designing while designing the syllabus itself, you have to keep this thought in your mind that you will divide the entire syllabus, whatever you expect to cover out of that course, should be divided into 5 units only, and exceptionally for some subjects up to 6 level. So that unit 1 related to CO1, unit 2 CO2, unit 5 CO5, and unit 6 CO6. Now these COs are supposed to be correlated with POs, that is program outcomes, are those statements which I mentioned, maybe 6 or 10 statements talking about what is the outcome of PGDM program when the student passes out from that particular program. So those statements have to be defined. So on the horizontal axis, x-axis you will have got PO1, PO2 up to whatever final number, let's say PO10. And on vertical axis for each course, you will have CO1, CO2, CO3, CO4, CO5. Again, as I told you, in PEO and mission, you have to read each CO statement. For convenience, you can put all those things in an Excel sheet so that you can read CO1 statement there, read PO1 statement. That is the process which I, wherever I conduct the workshop, that is the process which I tell, that you have to keep a blank sheet in front of you. POs, you will have to write the statements if possible in that cell, or otherwise the heading of the statement, so that you will understand what is the outcome in that program outcome statement. CO1 to 5, you will write it in a vertical column. There you write the statement, because it will be easier. You usually you don't have a heading for COs where it is there for POs. So you read CO1, read PO1, PO2, PO3, PO up to 10. And then while reading, you just simply the first step, put tick marks. Whether CO1 is mapping somewhere, mapping means some correlation between PO1. If you find there is a correlation, then put a tick mark. If you don't find any correlation, don't put anything there. Leave it blank. If you find there is some correlation, but it is not so much, very much connected, but some correlation is there, still you put a tick mark there. So that is the first step. So you'll simply find out the relationship between CO1, PO1 to PO10, CO2, PO1 to PO10. So in that Excel sheet, you will see only tick marks in some cells, not all. Mind well, do not try to map all CO with all POs. One CO will map at times maybe only with one PO. Okay, there may be very rare COs which will map with all the POs. The possibility is very much rare. So in short, CO will map minimum 1. It may happen that some CO will not map with PO. If it is happening, then there is some problem with the CO statement. You need to revise it, because COs which you define have to be matched with POs. So all COs must be mapped with POs. Which CO is mapping with which PO, that will depend on the statement, depend on the scope of the subject, depend on what you're expecting out of that subject, kind of assignments, and many other things. But the thought process happens in this way. You read statement CO, and then you try to see whether CO statement is matching with PO, relation with PO, whatever, low, high, that will decide later. Simply put the tick marks. So you'll see the sheet with tick marks. And then in the next step, you read those statements again, and then find out where there is a strong correlation between CO1 and PO1. Then you give 3 marks to it. We call it as a mapping. So give mapping 3. You see that there is some correlation, but then not too much high. You give mapping 1, and somewhere in between average. This is to be decided by judgment only. There is no particular mathematical formula which will be uniform everywhere. So it may happen that suppose 2 faculty members are teaching the same subject. For example, say financial management. So one faculty teaching financial management, another faculty teaching financial management. Both have POs which are same, because that is defined by the PGDM program. COs also same, because that is for that particular course. So this basic structure will remain same for both the faculty members. But while mapping, it might happen the faculty member A will think that PO1 and CO1 and PO1 has got a mapping of 2, whereas the other faculty might think about 1 or 3. It will never happen that one faculty is mapped to COs with POs and other faculty has not mapped. It will never happen. Just think logically, you will understand what I am trying to tell you. So there will be, if you are saying one faculty A is saying mapping is there, other faculty will agree with it that mapping will be there. But the level of mapping 1, 2, or 3, that might slightly vary from person to person. To have uniformity in one institution, what is usually done, all finance management teachers will sit together, and then they will decide whether we will be giving 3 mapping, 2 mapping, or 1 mapping for those particular COPO. So your second table will be, first was with tick marks. Second table, those tick marks replaced with 3, 2, and 1. Earlier they used to call that high, moderate, and low. But then since it is to be converted in a mathematical relations and this to be proven in the form of figures, therefore they have converted high to 3, medium to 2, and low to 1. So second Excel sheet will be CO vertical, PO horizontal, and wherever you put the tick marks, you can write 3, 2, or 1. So this table you will get. POs, that's what POs are for that program, which will remain same for all the teachers teaching irrespective of which subject they teach. Yeah. Yes, yes. As I said, as an example, I've told you that there are 10, assume that there are 10 POs. There can be 12, but then unnecessarily going in higher POs will complicate the things. So there are certain POs which you can club together and then bring it down to 6. Again, less than 6 is also not justifiable. So ideal figure is 8 or 10. 8 is most ideal. So I could say an average or most idealistic. Huh? That's okay. 7 is okay. So anything between 6 to 10. More COs. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. See, it may happen. That's what I was telling. That some subject may not reach even to the 5 and 6 level of Bloom's taxonomy. It may happen. So you may have only 4 COs. That is also, but at least minimum 4 are required. Ideally, minimum 5 are required. Module wise. Yeah. So module wise, and idealistically CO1, unit 1, CO2, unit 2, CO3, unit 3, like that. Yes. That is the most critical part, and which unfortunately most of the syllabi are missing. From, again, as I mentioned earlier, here the faculty will have to do a lot of work. The people who have designed the syllabus, I was very fortunate to be the part of that syllabus designing committee and 2019 syllabus in university. So we had said some four of us were there. We knew the system. So we have, if you see the syllabus, you'll find out the chapters and the units are also designed in such a way that the first level is only remembering some basic concepts, fundamental definitions, etc. Second will go to understanding. Third will go to application. Fourth will go to analysis. Then evaluation. Then creating. So syllabus designing is the first crux part of it. Then when it comes to program outcome, I'll have to find out the program outcome based on the COs mapping with each other, based on my assignment which I've given to the students, maybe tests which I'm conducting, CCS which I'm conducting, all put together. Then I will see how much attainment is there. So when I am designing the questions for assignment, CO1, unit 1, assignment 1. CO5, unit 5, assignment 5. So that my evaluation will also go in that direction. If CO5 is talking about evaluation, I cannot have a question like discuss something, which goes to CO level 1 or Bloom's taxonomy level 1. So a lot of work is required to be done by the faculty members itself. And unfortunately, I may not be making a wrong statement that more than 80% faculty members have not understood the system. Even that figure is also too low, I guess. So faculty training is very much required. Faculty need to understand how this system works, and which is not a very great rocket science, it's a very simple system, right? These are the steps which you follow. Take 2 Excel sheets, 1 tick mark, or maybe you can rub the tick marks and put 3, 2, 1 there. Just get the vertical total, get the average, you will get the targeted POs, what you are targeting out of your subject. Then you take the assignments, connect it with COs, connect it with unit number 1. So you will come to know that your targeted was, let's say, 2.15 and you achieved 1.85. That means your course is expected to give PO outcome of 2.15, but you have given only 1.87. Further in 10th unit or 10th category, you will come to know what have you done next year so that 1.85 will go to 2. And that's what they call as a progressive improvement or a continuous improvement process. And that has got a separate 100 marks in the continuous improvement in the last 10th criterion. So that is how we have to prove statistically and methodically also how this PO has been increasing. Because at the end of the entire calculation, you've got only one graph indicating PO of batch 22-24. PO1, PO2, you'll have got simple line diagram where PO is 1.5, 1.85, 1.2, like that. So you have got a line diagram, bar diagram, you can call it as. Next year, this bar diagram, each bar should be seen increasing, not shown increasing. Underline. Seen increasing, not shown increasing. So for that, what precautions you're taken, what kind of activities you've done, that will come under unit number 3 or criteria number 3. So try to understand this. How do you design COs, if at all it is to be designed for an institution like PGDM? What philosophy you have used? You have to. So when NBA committee will come, as I said, this is more crucial for NBA. They give a lot of importance to POCO mapping and its attainment. And just like as I mentioned earlier, they will have got a separate meeting with parents, separate meeting with board of members, separate meeting with directors, separate meeting with alumni, separate meeting with students, separate with accountants, separate with placement person. Similarly, they will have these meetings with faculty members, and they will at random ask any faculty to show the COP mapping of his or her subject. And it is so stringent that they will take out any page of, suppose you have got a mark sheet where you have assignment number 1 to assignment number 5, total marks converted to, let's say, out of 50 internal marks. So they will take out, say, assignment number 3, they will just move their finger at random blindly. Maybe they will close the eyes and put a finger open. Now, okay, show me this assignment, whether it is hard copy or soft copy, show me that. What is the question designed for? Show us that. Then where it was uploaded, show the notice. Show the communication made to the students, show the submitted thing. If it is hard copy, you have to show it to them. So on what basis? This is related to CO number 3. So is the question related to applying? You have to explain. So every faculty should be very thorough in only understanding how this COP mapping is actually done. They may not, I'm giving you probably an extreme example, but then that happened with our institution. So they actually took out a case of one student. They asked all record of that student to dig out. Dig out means we had all the files ready, but then we could produce it. So they might go to that extent that they will ask any faculty, any assignment. You can just imagine 120 students into, let's say, 30 subjects in 1 year, or maybe entire program, 30 subjects. So 30 into 120 students into 5 assignment each, they can ask any record. You should be very much ready with it, because they have got a lot of importance for this COPO. So on what basis you design? So designing will carry only 10 marks, whereas how do you attain it? That will carry 40 marks. How do you try to achieve increase in CO attainment and its correlation with POs? These POs of all the subjects will be collected in another Excel sheet, and that bar diagram will be done by somebody who's expert in Excel. Okay, so that's how you will get, say, 50 marks for program outcome and 50 marks. They are calling it as attainment. How do you attain? How do you reach to expected level? So you have got PO targeted, and next line is PO attained. And obviously this PO attained will never be more than PO targeted. You should try to go nearer to that PO attainment every year. Every year you try to increase. Now, when we map this and when we try to convert it into the COs and PO mapping, we do have to set one standard for all the entire institute, that I will assume that if the more or average number of students, more than average number of students, if they are getting marks, say, between 50% to 60%, I will call it as 1 level attend, 60 to 70 level 2 attend, 70 to 80 level 3 attend. Now, this could be standardized and this could be remaining same to the entire institution. Every individual subject teacher will not have this demarcation different. So if it is decided by the institution 60 to 71 attainment, 70 to 82, 80 to 93, you can start from above, say 60 to 71, 70 to 82, 80 to 93. But then that will be too much optimistic. So it is better you start from lower level. So 40 to 50 you keep 1, 50 to 62, and 60 to 73. So next year, going to the higher level, you can increase this bar. Starting from 40 instead, you will start from 50. That's how it works out. I know this is slightly difficult to understand, something coming from the air, unless you have got those figures in front of you. So then try to imagine, and it's as I said, it's not so difficult at all. Fortunately, there are software available which will do all your work. The things which are complicated mapping, you simply have to input an Excel sheet into that mapping. Some software have got the facility that you can directly upload the Excel sheet, whereas somewhere you may have to do manually. And then you upload all your CC marks for your CCs. The software will automatically will calculate the average of the marks, then number of students above average, then mapping level, and it will directly give you attend PO. Some software are available, otherwise whichever software you have, ERP or LMS system, that could be integrated with it. So it's not very difficult. Usually that is the difficulty with most of the MBA institution and the institution who are going in for NBA accreditation. There is, what we call the phobia of COPM mapping, which has been unnecessarily created. I don't know why. But then otherwise it's a very easy. Those who are comfortable doing plus, minus, and percentage, anybody can do that calculation. But of course, the logic of applying it should be understood properly. So this will eat out your 50 marks here and 50 marks for the program outcome, totaling to 100 marks for program outcome and course outcome. So the criteria title itself is PO and CO. Criteria number 4 is curriculum. Now here, university system and autonomous institution have got slight differentiation here. State the process of designing the program curriculum, there are 10 marks. Structure of the curriculum, there are 10 marks. State the components of curriculum, 15 marks, and quality and level of program curriculum, 15 marks. Now these are a few places, or this is one criteria where there might be slight subjective judgment, but then you should be able to prove it why you have defined or why you have designed the program like that. So you should have to show them the kind of meetings which you have conducted, then the kind of experts who are designing that particular course, expertise and their qualifications, their input, and all the minutes of meeting have to be very properly maintained in relationship with design of a curriculum. And that will again fetch you marks. Now 50 and 25 are 50 are for the university system or 25 are for the autonomous system like you. Whereas these 50 and 25 marks are further adjusted in some another criteria. That is here, 75 and 100 here. So describe the process followed improving the quality of teaching and learning. There are 20 or 40 marks. University system 20, your system 40. Quality of continuous assessment and evaluation process 40, and quality of students reports and dissertation 50 or 20. 15 university, 20 autonomous institute. So how the students learn? There was a point in earlier international accreditation as well. So learning. So here they are giving importance to the learning. How is the process of learning? What are here also, as well as in next one of the criteria is also mentioning that what are the innovative practices the faculty members are following. So you will have to have a separate file maintained by each and every faculty about innovative practices which you are using for your own purpose, own subject, and that you have to prove. So how students are learning effectively, how they are trying to understand better, how you are making it interesting, making it more easy to digest, making it more easy to even score the marks in the examination, how you are making it easy to formulate the questions also in the exam, so that the questions will definitely follow the structure of COPO, Bloom's taxonomy, plus it will be trying to judge the parameters of Bloom's taxonomy level. So questionnaire design itself is a big task here, so that which will ultimately lead to the understanding, learning, and more deep learning, what we can say. So that totally remains in the hands of the individual faculty. So this is all talking about individual person making the records or maintaining the records of his or her own course or the subject. So how do they maintain quality? How continuous assessment means all your assignments. So how do you evaluate? So there is a word which we often use in academies called as rubrics. So if I'm giving, let's say, 100 marks for a particular assignment, so how those 100 marks are divided? Like I can give you the example from my engineering field. So we give the students a project, let's say a project of designing this particular room. So it will include the flooring, then false ceiling, then electrification, air conditioning, then benches, then this kind of electronic arrangement system, etc. And then they are supposed to prepare some drawings. You might be knowing the architects prepare drawings, engineers prepare drawings. Just like that, this project is given to them. So 100 marks project is there. It is very clearly told to all the students itself that if you draft a plan, top view of this room, you will get 10 marks. Then if you draft the elevation, you will get another 5 marks. For electrical layout, you will get 15 marks. For air conditioning layout, you will get another 10 marks. For quantity estimation, 20 marks. For flooring layout, another 10 marks. So how those 100 marks are divided, that you will have to tell to the students before you evaluate them. It is as simple as your performance appraisal. I hope all of you understand at least. I don't know whether you have performance appraisal in institution or not. So whatever performance appraisal systems you have, it is already told to you that your performance in this year will be evaluated on the basis of, let's say, marks which are been achieved by the students in the subject which you're teaching. Number one. Number two would be the faculty development programs you are targeted to attend and attended. Number three, research papers which are published. Number four, maybe books, chapters of books written. Number five, seminars, conferences attended. So there may be many parameters. And on the basis of those parameters, I'll be evaluating you as a performance appraisal of a faculty. So those parameters are told to you in advance that next year these are you're going to be a target. So it is as simple as understanding targets are told to you well in advance, and then at the end of the year, I'll see whether you achieved the target or not. So rubrics is as simple as understanding that I'm telling to my students that if I'm evaluating you for 100 marks, out of 100 marks, 10 are for this, 15 are for this, 25 are for this, 5 are for this, and maybe 10 marks for your overall quality and presentation, handwriting, etc. etc. So I am telling to the student that you will be evaluated based on this called as rubrics. If any one of you use Google Classroom, so that Google Classroom has got a facility there, so you can use rubrics and you can put the marks there, rubrics marks there. So that will again take care about the CO mapping. You can have COs also designed in such a way, each CO, even if you're giving 10 marks, those 10 marks could be further split into 2, 3, 3, and maybe 4 like that. So you should be able to tell to the student. That's why when I mentioned earlier that if I'm giving somebody 16 marks and somebody else 17, I am answerable to that student ideally that why he has got 16 marks, 1 mark less as compared to some other person. So I'll open the rubrics and I will tell him that in the plan you were supposed to mention the dimensions which you're not done. So 1 mark less here he has mentioned he's got 1 mark more. So you also are able to tell the student that where he is lacking, and you will also come to know which, if you take the average of total of all these parameters, so you will come to know where the students are like. If nobody has written the dimensions, so suppose average of, let's say, marks out of 2 comes to be less than 1. You will see that nobody out of 100 students, 90 students have not written the dimensions in the figure. Does it mean that all the 90% students are dull? It means probably you might have missed telling into the class that dimensions are required. Whereas some brilliant student might have been thought of on his own, why the dimensions are missing here, why dimensions are not mentioned here. So he will mention on his own, so which you are not taught. Point here is that you will understand where probably you are lacking, and you will understand where all the students are lacking, and you will understand where every individual student is lacking. And this all will formulate and lead to the learning process, which will also definitely help you in course outcome and program outcome calculations. So rubrics is a unavoidable part of your learning process. You should be knowing how you are going to assess the students for each whatever call assignment, CCE, CCAs. That has to be very clearly, you should be knowing, and then accordingly you can help out. Further going ahead, quality of the students' dissertation or reports. I'm not sure. PGDM students, do they have to do a industry project? Okay, summer internship. So we have got the same nomenclature. So what do you do to improvise on a summer internship project quality? Because that being a common subject which is across MBAs and PGDM institute, the student goes to the industry, work for minimum 8 weeks in our system, and then he's supposed to prepare a report. Now again, some of the experiences and some of the facts tell us that the quality of the summer internship projects is really questionable. The student prepares some 1 or 2 or maybe 10, 15 questions he asks at random to anybody, and then he prepares some pie charts and bar charts, and that is the project, which is supposed to be very poor kind of a quality project. The intention of summer internship project is practical application of research methodology subject which the student has learned somewhere in semester before that. And all that research methodology systems are to be implemented while doing the industrial project, with hand in hand with what the industry is expecting out of you. So how do you, or what do you do to improvise the quality of this summer internship project that has got 15 marks in university system, 20 marks in case of PGDM system? What efforts are you taking? It is definitely one subject which you might be distributing the number of students with one particular faculty as a guide. So as an individual guide, you can take as many efforts as possible to make the students' report better who are under you. But then as an institution, there has to be SIP policy. Now, our institution had an SIP policy where we used to give the SIP placement for all the students, which usually doesn't happen in the management institute. We tell to the students, okay, you aap jao, find out karo, project karo, industry dhundo. But then we used to give the SIP all 180 students, we used to place. Because we used to highlight the company, we used to get the companies, top cream companies for doing SIPs. And then after the student is placed in an SIP, our faculty member used to physically go and check in that company whether the student is really working or not. The student is supposed to submit weekly report on a mail. We have prepared a separate platform for that. He's supposed to click on that link and he's supposed to submit a weekly report on that link, so that at the end of finishing of SIP, every student has submitted 8 SIP reports, 8 weeks, 8 reports. Then on the top of it, while submitting that SIP report onto the system, his supervisor in the industry, he's also supposed to sign, or means counter click. Then only it reaches to us, so that he's also supervising, he is also taking care. And then once the report is prepared, we used to conduct one full day session on how to prepare the reports. What should go first, what should go next, how many pages, what is the extent, how do you write literature review, then company profile, etc. Along with number of pages, total number of pages, data analysis, what format data analysis is expected to be there, how do you write the conclusion, how do you write executive summary, and all those things. So we were trying to give importance to internship projects, and therefore quality was found improving. Again, we do give marks for these internship projects. Those are not given at random. There has to be again rubrics. The report prepared will have some, let's say 30 or maybe 50% weighted, let's say. Remaining all things 50 will be further divided into 10, 10, 25, like that. So everywhere the rubrics will work, because whatever we do, whatever activity we do in the institution, that has to be connected with PO. For example, you arrange some guest session for some on some topic for the students. After the guest session, you take the feedback. Those feedback are to be aligned with PO, and there will be some PO which is finding weak. Say, for example, I'll just give you an example. I don't know whether PO is there or not. Let's say developing entrepreneurial attitude is one PO which I have designed. And it is found that this PO has achieved only 1.3 on the scale of 3. So that needs to be increased. So what I'll do, I will have, say, entrepreneurship conclave, where I will call 4 or 5 entrepreneurs to speak to the students. I will have project proposal seminar for the students. I will invite some entrepreneur and share his journey. I will invite some entrepreneurs and share the technical details, what kind of licensing are required, what kind of registrations are required, what legal formalities are required. So I will have sessions, all which will be highlighted to the entrepreneurship. And at the end, I will take the feedback and take the average of the feedback. We'll again map, just like we map CO with PO, we'll directly map this event with PO. So that will be also one of the courses which I have listed in that Excel sheet leading to PO. So I will have ED conclave, ED guest session, ED project preparation session, ED bank proposal session, and that will be connected to PO, and that PO average will increase. That I would have told you at the 10th point. So, but since I'm talking about quality, so what efforts you are taking to improvise the quality or improvise on particular PO which is falling short, right? So that has to be again statistically, numerically proved, which is not at all a difficult task. But then it has to be seen that you are really taking efforts. So maintaining these kind of summer internship project, of if you're asking for some kind of dissertations, then some of the institutes, they ask the student to write the research paper under research methodology subject, or maybe in one 3 semesters period, every student must write one research paper with any faculty, and then it is to be published. Some institutes are giving the target. Then in that case also, the quality of the research paper matters. It could be treated as this research paper, it could be dissertation, it could be any kind of report to be submitted, it could be any kind of presentation. So you give guidelines, you share some standard templates, you ask them to go through certain kind of YouTube videos, go through some online documents, so that everything will be as expected. For that, again, I repeat, the faculty has to work a lot. But ultimately, this will lead to quality of dissertation, reports, research papers, SIP reports, etc. This carries 100 marks for you, 75 for university system, because these 25 are adjusted here, 50, 25. Criterion 5 is students' quality and performance, which has got 100 marks. Few of the things are factual, so probably you cannot make any adjustments here. Enrollment ratio, which was one of the criteria for becoming eligible, that admission should be more than 60% for last 3 years. So this enrollment ratio, you may If you got 60% and more, you will directly get this 20 marks here. Success rate, students clearing the examination in minimum time, it means in first attempt, you should have to have that table of result analysis, what we call, where the students have cleared the examination without ATKT is accepted here, and you will get those 10 marks. Academic performance, percentage of marks scored, the higher marks every year increasing, that you can prove by different methodology. You're taking the efforts to improvise the results, and that is because that will be one of the criteria for your appraisal also. So academic performance 10 marks. Placement, higher studies, entrepreneurship, I have told you earlier as a criteria for going in for NBA, has got maximum weightage here 40 marks, which will take care about the final placement, campus placement we can say. Higher studies, going in for studies after MBA, some students may go for after PGDM, they may go for PhD if your PGDM is approved by AIU as equivalent to MBA. Otherwise, they cannot do PhD after PGDM. They have to do some post-graduation. So if somebody goes for post-graduation, that is still treated as higher studies because PGDM anyways happen to be a postgraduate diploma and post-graduation higher than that. So you can consider those students going in for higher education, higher studies. Some students go to UK, US, or maybe Australia, New Zealand for higher education doing MS, or maybe PhDs also at times. So that could be considered as higher studies. And entrepreneurship is how many students have started with their own business. If you have an entrepreneurship cell, if you don't have, you'll have to start it because that will add to the placement and put all these three things together. More than 60% of your placement should be there for all the last 3 batches. So you can add these 3 things together, which will, if it is only a numerical thing. So if you prove, but then of course there's a hitch in it that they will ask you the document. If you tell them that 7 students from our batch have started with their own business, they will ask them, okay, get us their Shop Act license of the business. So every document has to be provided. If you say that our student is placed with a package of 8 lakh rupees, they ask the first month's salary slip of the student. That you will have to tell to the student who get placed. That once you get placed, first month's salary slip, you will have to send it to us. They will ask how the placement process has started, who initiated the placement process. You will tell them, okay, we have got a common shootout mail from the company asking for 10 students from marketing. Okay, show us that mail. What was your reply? This is our reply. Show us that email. When did they come to the campus? Yes. So show us the detailed documentation. So for placement department, you will have to have separate students either working in that team as a placement team, so who will maintain all the record, which company, how many, what was the requirement, when was the requirement filled, how many number of people were expected, when campus placements happened, what were the rounds, how many got deleted in first round, second round, third round, how many got selected, who got placement offer. So hell lot of data is required. So if it is better if you maintain all the NBA data in an Excel sheet, because any document could be very easily found out in an Excel. That's what I did in my institution. I simply created very simple 5 Google forms, which all of us use very often. Just for some kind of research questionnaire, we do use Google form. So we created Google forms asking for all these heads. We simply, if I go for attending a conference, once I come back, I'll simply fill that Google form. Automatically, I'll get all the data in an Excel sheet. So I can sort it out based on the city, based on figure, based on organization who's organizing it, based on expenses which are incurred on traveling, on staying, on conference fees, etc. So Excel sheet is a wonderful thing which you can definitely use for all MBA process. So placement, it is better you maintain all the data in Excel, all other data as well.
So, what salaries?
No, they ask for first month's salary slip. If you claim that the student has joined, so once the student joins me, he should have to have an appointment letter because he cannot join me before appointment letter. Once he joins, then you have to prove that he was, because unfortunately it has happened that some institutes have faked these kind of letters also. So first salary slip is the only proof which will prove that he is really working there. All rest all the other documents you can take. I don't see. I don't think they may go to the extent of calling that company and getting verified whether the person is really working or not. They will definitely ask you the mail. So when you're showing the mail, they can see. Usually Gmail mails are not accepted in the placements. So Outlook means @name of the company.com are the more authenticated accepted mails by them. Otherwise, Gmails, every one of you can create 10 Gmail accounts and then keep sending to the placement. That they won't accept. So point is they want to have a full proof statements which you're making that you need to prove. In Marathi, we have got a very nice saying, बाप दाखव नाही तर श्राद्ध कर. तसं ते असतं म्हणजे तुम्ही ह्या स्टुडंट प्लेस झालाय का दाखवा मध्ये नाही तर मग you don't claim. So they will directly reduce the percentage there. They will not consider that placement. The percentage you somehow dragged it to 60.23 and they cancel 2-3 students, it goes below 15 and you're not eligible. So that's how it works. So you have to be very meticulous in maintaining all these details, and then you cannot really fake anything. You have to do it systematically, then only project and then only claim that you are doing it. Student diversity, which may not be in your hands, but then other earlier international accreditation were asking that I have got the students coming from African continent, for Asian continent, for South Asia, for European continent, for American continent. So student diversity, students coming from different parts of the country, world, maybe state, etc. This may not be in our hands, but then try to see that if you're promoting your PGDM institution in many other parts of Maharashtra than restricting it only to Mumbai or mainly to suburb of Mumbai, that will bring you more diversified students and that might fetch you 5 months. But then really at this juncture, we may not do much in this part. But then if you're going in for international, you will have to prove it. Professional activities will carry 15 marks. So student participation in professional society, chapters, organizing events, students, publication, etc. 5 marks are there for, there are some institutions like NIPM, ISTD, National HRD Network, then Marketing Forum, NISM, which is in Mumbai. So they do have students membership, by which student is supposed to pay some minimum amount of fee for maybe annual subscription for that, for that particular company. And then during the year, whichever programs are there, those students can attend for free or maybe at a lesser or maybe 50% discount, something like that. So what programs, such programs are being attended by students, then what kind of conferences attendance under such kind of teams, and whether your institution has got some MOUs with them. It is not that a student has attended, he's producing a certificate. It has to go through the institution. So institution has to have such kind of types with such kind of national bodies are preferred mainly, not local bodies. Minimum national, international, well and good. And if possible, you should have to have a student publication. Even if it is ISBN number, that is also okay, they accept it. If you have got research publication with ISSN number, more advantageous. If you have got an ISSN number with UGC care listed journal, more marks you are likely to fetch. Means you might get 10 marks there. But then you have to have student publication, because research is one thing where the student is also expected to improvise on that. It's not only for the academics. So that's how these 10 marks here, totaling this, will be getting 100 marks. Few of the things are based on actual figures. Few of the things we have to prove by the activities there. That is point number 5. Okay, now next is the most haunting criteria. Criterion number 6. The highest number are for this criterion number 6, 220. And as I made earlier mention that if in this criterion, if you don't get 60% of marks, so 220 ka 60% kitna aata hai? Can somebody help me? 130 something. 220 ka 60%. 132. So out of 220, you must get 132 marks. In rest all other parameters, even if you are getting 80, 90, 100%, if you don't get 132 in this criterion, you don't get anything. So total 60 and compulsory 60% in this criterion. Getting my point? So this is the most critical criterion, so to say, because it talks about faculty. And started my session, I mentioned that NEP, NBA, all the international accreditation, those are giving importance to the faculty members and faculty development, because those are the sources teaching to the students. If the faculty is developed, then only if the faculty has got something here, then only they can communicate to the students. So a lot of importance is given to faculty attributes. Even NEP is giving highest importance to faculty development. Student faculty ratio 10 marks, preferably it should be, they say 1:25, but they will insist on 1:20 minimum. Then only you will get 3 years of accreditation. If you maintain 1:15, you are likely to get for 1:15, 6 years of accreditation. But minimum 1:20, if you are maintaining, you will straight away get this 10 marks. Simply figure 1:20 ratio fulfilled, irrespective of all other parameters for the faculty. So number only 10 marks you will get. Faculty cadre is assistant, associate, professor, dean, director. So whatever for 120 intake, you require number of assistant, number of associate, number of professor, and director. Director is always one. Rest all maybe 1, 2, or up to depending upon the number of divisions what you have. So whether you have got the faculty according to the cadre, because practically what happens that associate positions, I'm just giving you what is practically happening. This may not be true with all the institutions, but majority of the institution do not recruit associate professors. So they have got assistant professors, then professors. Associate professor position, most of the things are kept vacant, or assistant professor replace associate. University system might accept it, but AICT, NBA doesn't accept. If you don't follow, you will straight away get 0 marks here. So according to your intake, the cadre ratio is defined for 60 intake. I have given you an example in the morning. 180 intake, 12 assistant, 4 associate, 1 professor, 1 director. Must. So you have to have these numbers very much fulfilling. Under this assistant and associate also, in typical university system, again the reservation comes. So that is also to be followed. So all those things are to be proven by papers. University system does have got an approval from the university that we have to prove and show, but then that will carry 20 marks. Faculty qualification, AICT, APH, that is approval process handbook, every year mentions the qualification of teachers or assistant, associate. Now they are in the process of revising only, but only for director. For rest all, they have defined in 2021. It is as it is for assistant, associate, professor, dean, and director. So that will follow. So if you're claiming that we have got 4 associate professors, they will see whether those will follow the qualification norms or not. Simply you are promoting somebody and an associate doesn't work. So associate professor has to have a PhD and has to have 6 research paper published in SCI or maybe Scopus or Web of Index or EBDC journals. Then only you can claim that yes, he was eligible for associate and we have made him associate. Only for the sake of showing to NBA that we require 2 associate and we have it. But if they don't have qualification required, chances are getting 0 here. Faculty, yeah. Any questions? Yeah, in the appointment letter, you have to mention that as per the AICT norms, since you follow or you fulfill all the qualification norms for associate professor, we are giving you the support. AICT doesn't have any. Only universities give approval, but PGDM institution there is no approval process. But at such kind of thing, times they will ask for the faculty qualification and they will verify. Because in APH is there, in Maharashtra government gazette also it is there, qualification required, UGC. Huh. See, no, there is no approval process, but then when you are applying, they ask you that since CAY and CAY -1, you should have to have that faculty. So you cross check whether you have got that faculty cadre fulfilled in last year as well. If not, then you apply after 1 year. That's the only thing, only option available. Right. Hmm. Hmm. Correct. 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 So unfortunately, correct. Correct. The only option is that. Okay. Correct. Correct. So true. Hmm. Right. Now this question even I had very recently in Pune. One of the PGDM institution has got NBA done, and then I asked the same question to them. What about this cadre ratio and qualification? They simply asked, they verified the document. They asked the personal file of associate professor. They verified 6 research papers are there. Okay, you have given an appointment associate professor. You mentioned the scale according to 7th pay. The norms are different. and then you mention it, and then they will verify the accounts also, whether the same amount of salary is deposited in his account. So they will simply verify at their own end. Unfortunately, there is no such system in university. And this keeps on changing. 6-pay norms were something different. Associate professor only, you get a promotion to associate professor without PhD under the condition that you have to complete PhD within 7 years. But now it is mandatory. If you don't have PhD, you cannot go to that level. But then it is at the moment, it's only in process handbook or in these gadgets. So when committee will come, they know the norms and they will simply verify, yes, hai, nahi hai. University system, they don't check much because the university approval itself comes for those who are following that norms. Another, can I go to next? Okay. Another thing, because I have to finish by 4:30. Faculty retention is how many faculty are there sustained for last so many years. And they say that if the faculty more than 40% are found to be left the institution last assessment year, then you in the basic eligibility, they will not allow you to go. So 60% faculty must be retained in the assessment year. It means faculty are there, 60% faculty are there. They joined and they are there for last at least during the assessment year. Faculty initiatives and teaching and learning. It's again learning process, innovative methodology will come under in this UOPU also, separate weightage is given. Here they might be thinking about collective guidelines followed by the faculty members given by the institute. That is 2 out of 220, some marks were there. Carrying further, faculty performance appraisal and development system. So there has to be a robust faculty appraisal system. It has to be maintained with a proper documentation. You're doing it for, again, assessment year. They have to show them that faculty appraisal, let's say if you're talking in terms of grades, somebody has got grade B plus. Next year, he has got B double plus. What is the basis on which it is done? Again, you can define the parameters. You can verify the parameters. We have made a 360-degree appraisal. Incidentally, I have done a research paper on faculty appraisal in management institute. So I have designed a 360-degree appraisal model. So every faculty will be appraised on different parameters: his interaction with the colleagues, his interaction with the seniors, his interaction with the management, his student feedback, then his interaction with other stakeholders, then his methodology which he is using, then again all other factors like attending of conferences, then seminars, presentation, writing research papers, writing a book, etc. So those were so many parameters were there. So the 360-degree is appraised. Next year he is supposed to improvise on his grade. And of course, this was also supported by an additional 10 marks for confidential report by the director and by the top authorities. And then total, and then a grading system was designed. So you can have any such kind of system, you can design your own system, but then you have to show that there is some system. And then this is the way which we are following it, that might carry 10 marks for that appraisal system. Visiting adjunct emeritus faculty. This totally depends upon the kind of CVs of the visiting faculty which you have. Adjunct is, of course, anyways expected to be experienced people, either retired from industry or maybe work for at least 20 plus years in industry. So their name should be there in your record, and it shouldn't happen that it's only for the namesake. So you have to show them that adjunct faculty used to come to the class, come to the college, used to have some sessions with the PGDM. Again, there are rules for adjunct faculty that he's supposed to have at least 50 sessions in 1 year's time. And then that should be reflected in accounts also. Yeah, anybody can be adjunct. Yes, yeah. Now they are now UGC has given it a name as professor of practice. That we used to call it as eminent or professor emeritus faculty. Usually assumed at 20 plus years of experience, anybody can be faculty emeritus. He may be from academics, that doesn't matter. But more preferred is from industry. So you will have to have all the CVs, then their names reflected in the timetable, their feedback available with you, their classes conducted on 2 real classes, those all should match. The name should not be there only for the sake of maintaining one file in a CV. Those should be actually being seen, actually implemented. Then academic research, as I mentioned at the start itself, highest marks are here. And unfortunate part is most of the NBA institutes are failing in this research because they don't accept the research in ISSN journal. It has to be minimum in UGC care up to till yesterday. It is still there, but I don't know whether things might change in next week when the AICT will come for the new rules. They are shifting, removing UGC care even from the list. So you have got either SCI in Scopus index or Web of Science or ABDC. ABDC also they are not considering. Web of Science and Scopus. So if you have got publications only in this, only they will accept it, otherwise they won't. Like in our case, the same thing happened. We have got few faculty members who have done it in UGC care and UGC listed. They didn't accept. But then somehow we could match the number of figure of their expectation. And then we got some 50 marks here. So they didn't still give 75. So even if keeping the target of 2 papers for per faculty per year, I think you should be able to match up with, provided all those papers are in high quality journals with high H index, etc. Your own H index, they will also, you will have to find out your presence on Google Scholar or a similar kind of academia, so that how far you are cited by other people, that record also to be shown. And some things you have to do at the institute, at the individual level, which could be handed over to the institute at such visits. So academic research, very much importance. Sponsored research is one where I should tell you that in our institution, we failed, because I had one sponsored research done, which was costing only 1.5 lakh rupees. They said, no, this is very minor research. They were expecting somewhere research in the range of, say, 50 lakhs or maybe 1 crore, 1.5 crore, which practically may not be possible, but if it's possible, it could be done. Like most of the IIMs, most of the IITs, they do have some such kind of sponsored research for their faculty members, which are in those range. And even most of the arts, science, commerce colleges, they do have got such kind of research funding. So this is talking about research funding either from AICT, then AIMS also gives, Association of Indian Management Schools, they also give funding even to PGDM institutions, and some universities also will be getting. AICT also gives a lot of funding. You can go to any AICT website homepage itself, will get such kind of funding being available. And that is in the range of that, maybe about 20 lakhs, 50 lakhs, 1 crore. It requires, of course, a very dedicated proposal. A lot of screening things are so much difficult that getting that proposal sanctioned itself is, I won't say impossible, but slightly complicated. But they ask for the number of amount of money which you have made out of this. And the best part of it is that this sponsored research, even though done by a faculty member, should be routed through the institution. If you're doing some kind of sponsored research, it may be done through the industries also. Some industries might ask you to do some kind of work for them, and then you can show them as a sponsored research by the industry. That money should come to the account of the institution, and institution should pay you whatever share according to the policies the institution has. So there could be a policy for MDP, for FDP, for such kind of sponsored research. So if you're getting for industry, if you're getting it in the institute's account, usually the institutes have got a policy like 80% institution will give it to you, 20% they will take with them. Similarly for MDPs, consultancies, some share institution will be taking. I don't know for what, but then they will be taking that share. There has to be some policy defined, and then sponsored research should be proven, and that too in the institute's account. Again, they will check the accounts, how much money has come in, how much money has been given, what is the policy, 80%, show that 80% has been deposited in the faculty's account, so on and so forth. So that is to be proven, and this slightly depends on the committee, how much amount of money will they consider. Our committee said that no, at least minimum 50 lakh rupees ka research hona chahiye, sponsored research, whereas we had all put together somewhere around 8 lakh rupees, they didn't accept. So they gave straight away 0 marks in this. So we lost 25 marks there. Preparation of teaching cases is one where in PGDM institution it is definitely happening, but in MBA institution, most of the faculty don't teach through cases. So here, teaching cases, every faculty teaching every different subject should teach through the cases. So one case at least minimum for one subject has to be done. So you take care that whichever subject you're teaching, you see through the cases. Specifically, you can go to the level number 4, where it is an analysis, and level number 5, evaluation. So you bring the cases, ask the students to discuss it. Evaluation analysis part will be automatically taken care. That itself be an assignment. So you will get the marks also. You will serve this purpose also. So cases is one which you are using ready-made cases, but this particular point is highlighting on preparation of teaching cases. So faculty is supposed to prepare the cases. Say from, if I'm teaching organizational behavior subject, I will go to the industry and I'll find out actually some dispute between the two people and how it was resolved. So I'll prepare a case on it. So preparation of a case itself is a very difficult task. So you have to prepare the case rather than using the cases which are ready-made. They do give some importance to using the cases, but then preparation of cases, they will give you more importance. How much faculty are writing the case? You can publish in journals also. You can publish in case centers in UK and USA also. But then that may be a far off target. But writing your case studies on your own, becomes the first part in getting marks out of 30 here. If they don't find any case written by the faculty, use cases for teaching, they may not accept. Again, as I said, slightly depends upon the committee which is coming up. So if you can convince them that I'm using, say, 3 cases in my subject, like that, all 10, 20 faculty put together, 60 cases are being learned by the students. If they accept your proposal, then they might give you some marks, but not all 40, unless you have got the cases prepared by the faculty member. So this is very much critical, and that will put the dot to 220. So here, maximum 100 marks out of 220 is academic research and sponsored research. If they don't see any metal here, there is every chance that you will get less than marks 132 in 220. This is that's why I said haunted criterion, I would say. Yeah, minimum. That is what our committee said. In guidelines of NB, there was no such figure mentioned, which was mentioned in consultancy in MD. But for sponsored research, there is no such figure mentioned. No, you can improvise on other areas. Academic research could be done by faculty members, because that figure is comparatively less. As I said, we got 0 marks in out of 25. It doesn't matter much. But then you'll have to improvise on all other areas. So developing cases could be possible. You can have one workshop of writing the cases. That's what I did. We did in our institution. We conducted one workshop of writing the cases. We called Mr. Tapan Panda from IIM. He did 2 days of workshop on case writing. And then our faculty members actually prepared 2 cases. And we prepared an ISBN book, which was proven. So we could get some marks in that. So you can do it like that. I can tell you many such ideas, but of course, which are to be actually done. So you have got scope of adjusting these marks somewhere else, but adjusting 75 is difficult. Adjusting 25 is easy. So research, there is no way out. You have to give a target to each faculty, at least 2 research papers per semester. That is possible. Yes. Not exactly. No. Web of Science, ABDC. ISBN is out of question. ISBN, they don't consider. ISBN out of question. No. Only Web of Science, Scopus, ABD. And UGC care is still there. UGC care is still there. UGC listed is not there. UGC listed not allowed. Because before UGC care, it was UGC listed. Here listed is allowed. But there used to be only UGC listed earlier. That is also not accepted. So UGC care listed, and above that, Scopus, Web of Science, ABDC, peer reviewed. So this is a tough task. Even we had faced the same thing. But since I had seen it in 2017, we gave the target and we could reach to 85 papers in 3 years' time. That we made it possible. 18. So it's possible, but then we have to work in the forward direction. No. Case study you can have here. They accepted our ISBN book of case studies. It is used for teaching. It should be prepared. That is only their condition. If you are publishing in case center, that's nothing like it. But publishing case in case center, it's maybe I would say next to impossible. Their rigorous process. It can be. Yeah, you can. Case could be published in Scopus, Web of Science also. It could be. But it is not the condition that you should publish it. You have prepared it, you should prove that it is not existing anywhere. That's it. You may prepare on some nearby micro scale industry, you go there, maybe entrepreneurship case, you can do it. That may not be available anywhere else. You have to prove that it's an original case prepared by you. That's it. 7th criterion is industry and international connect where Industry Connect is there with most of the institutions in Maharashtra, at least because for placements we have to do the connection. So, but then they are expecting consultancy 25 marks out of 90. Now, this consultancy from industry to be done by the faculty members again, right? So they will now here they expect at least 5 lakh rupees of consultancy. Then just a minute, I see here next. Yeah, 5 lakh rupees of consultancy, they gave us 5 marks out of 25 because we were having 8.5 lakh rupees of consultancy by faculty. So this is again one exercise which you can do it. Every faculty can go to nearby MIDC area, and even a consultation of maybe preparing an advertisement could be considered as an consultancy. Maybe preparing a survey report of the feasibility of starting with a new business. Some small assignments where the monetary transactions involved, those only would be considered as a consultancy. And that will, if you reach to 25 lakhs, then 5 lakhs, 5 months. So that's how it works out. So here, this is one area where again we'll have to plan very properly and show it there. All documentation has to be very proper. If I say that I was doing consultancy with some XYZ company, I have to show them what communication has happened. You cannot tell any unka phone aaya tha, hum gaye the, karke diya. No, you have to prove it documentary. Faculty as a consultant to industry, the same thing. Here it is on amount and here it is on the faculty individually, how they are doing. Then initiative related to industry interaction, including internships, summer internships, study tours, guest lectures, etc. That means Industry Connect, industry people are coming to you as guest lectures, study tour. You are taking the students to study tour. Then SIP is of course there, in industry internships and all other placements could also be considered here. So how much contribution is of the industry in development of your institution will carry 15 marks. So you can add all the events also in it where you invite industry people. Try to have MOUs with the industries, and then whenever somebody comes to your company, come to your institute from some company, consider it as one of the activities, maybe guest lecture. So have MOU and have some other activity. You go there, maybe some kind of survey, meeting them, have some kind of meeting conducted in, and show it as an activity happened under that. So try to have as much MOU as possible, and any activity, whether you are coming to their campus or those people coming to your campus, could be shown as an activity. That's what I did. Again, I'm giving you some simple tips to do. So we had got somewhere around 80 plus MOUs signed with, of course, there were big names like HDFC Bank, etc. as well. And we have got every year, the entire year, we have got a lot of activities going on. So we have got one activity, we call it as an ED conclave. And what do? We make the team of 4 students, 1 faculty, 1 industry person, and then we ask them to prepare a poster. And that poster we convert into form of calendar, and then we distribute that calendar to the nearby industries. So for those, we require 1 corporate representative. So we call him, it was also shown as a activity under industry MOU. So we have got 8 MOUs exhausted in this. So whatever activities you have got, supposing you have got some annual gathering, you call somebody as a chief guest from industry, that could be treated as activity under that. So whatever activities you conduct, try to link it with industry. So whenever you have got activities, try to see whether you can accommodate some people from the industry with whom you have got MOUs. Ideal is doing it like way, so that you can definitely get these 15 marks. Summer internship projects, of course, their final placements could also be going into this. Then your study tours, industry tour, industrial visit could also go here. So try to see that you're doing all the activities with the MOU undertaken companies. Out of that also you can do, and which could be also added here. Participation of industry professionals, like you can call them for curriculum development, is possible for you. Then we do call for SIP YY, we call people from industry. Then assignment as examiner, we call them as an examiner. Summer projects, they are definitely involved. So their involvement and your involvement with exchange with each other. Initiatives related to industry, excluding executive education, industry sponsored labs, industry sponsorship of students, activities, etc. This, if possible, you can do it like in Pune, this COEP college has been sponsored 1.5 crore rupees of lab by Bajaj two-wheeler company. So that could be classified under that. So if any company is helping you in maybe building infrastructure, providing some kind of facilitations, that could also go in here. Maybe some kind of sponsorships to the students. Even all summer internship project could be put here, because when they're getting a stipend, that could be called as industry sponsorship for the students. So that could go here, and which easily could be shown realistic figures. This 15 marks could be achieved. Involvement of industry professionals, members of various academic bodies. So try to formulate your GBs, CDCs, then your entrepreneurship committee, then your corporate advisory committee. You can formulate the committees where you will have these industry members on those committees. And of course, everything has to be proven. Only mentioning, formulating a committee and mentioning the name doesn't work. So you have to have some meetings, some activities where it is reflected. That's how industry connect 90 marks, 25, 15, 15, 10, 15, 10, total 90. Next part was slightly difficult for us, but then again, I'll tell you what we did. International connect, which is a start, or maybe I can call it as a starting stone to going for international accreditation. All international accreditation, whatever 3, 4 I have told you, all are asking for international connections at the higher level, or the prime importance given by international accreditation is international connect, where NBA gives only 40 marks of weightage out of 1000 here. But still, you can always start by these steps. What we did at our institution is we actually had MOU with 8 universities across, like UK, we had got 2, then Singapore 1, Dubai 1, then Azerbaijan 1. Like that, we had signed MOUs with some 8 international organizations, including IMEI, which is one of the biggest mind education institution, South Korea. That you can also, they're free for such kind of MOU. So you can have those kind of MOUs. Then for each MOU, we conducted some activities. For this IMEI, every year their 7 students come to India, and they used to happen to stay with some of our faculty members in their home. They used to have some of the cultural exchange with those South Korean students in our institution. Then for one academic studio, UK, we had got joint collaboration, and we did joint research with the faculty there. So one faculty from academic studio UK and one faculty from our institution, we did 6 such projects which were based on some corporate initiatives which are taken in UK. So that was one thing done. Then for Singapore, I forgot the name of the university. With that university, we had we made our student to go there in Singapore for a study tour. It was initially a study tour, later on converted at 1 unit course, 15 hours course we gave from that university. So it happened to be a student exchange program. Then in Azerbaijan, Baku University, I went there and I conducted 1 full day training program for the faculty members there. So it was a faculty exchange program. So that's how you have to first sign the MOU, but signing only won't suffice the purpose. They will give 0 marks. What activities you have conducted? And activities are only 3: faculty, then faculty exchange, student exchange, and collaborative research. And these are all things here. Student exchange, 10 marks, faculty exchange, 10 marks, collaborative research project, 10 marks. So we were fortunate to get all 10 here because we actually did it. And again, whenever you are claiming that we had taken Singapore, say 18 students to Singapore, you will have to prove them from from booking of their tickets, their visa, their document which you have maintained with you, expenses, the agency, everything has to be very properly documented. So you'll have to have 1 file for 1 event, 1 rack of files for 1 particular MOU like that. You have to maintain. So maintenance of document plays it all about all the accreditation, not even for NBA, but all others as well. But still, fortunately, NBA is focusing more on the processes. That is the major difference between NAAC and NBA. NBA focuses more on processes and NAAC focuses more on figures. How many students are there, international thing, how many students are passed out. So they focus more on numbers. Here, if they understand that POC or somebody is explaining from the faculty members, NBA would understand, yes, the entire faculty seems to have understood the process. So they will give more importance to the process. Supposing you have got signed, say 10 MOUs and you have got, say, only 4 or 5 MOUs been actually active and actually conducted some kind of thing, they might give you full marks. So they are not very much stringent. Under every MOU, you should have to have some activity. So they try to see the process and then you are very serious about implementing it and you're not faking and trying to fool them around anyway. So that completes 130 marks, 90 in the earlier slide, in Industry Connect and 14 International Connect. Now, this is probably the only criterion where you're likely to get 100 marks out of 100. I mean, 75 out of 75. Because your institution is granted approval by AICTE based on basically infrastructure. So classroom and learning facilities, you've got as per the norm, 66 square meter classroom, 33 square meter, your tutorial room, etc. Library 150. So if you're following the norms, then you'll get this 10 there, library 10, IT infrastructure. Here, they will ask for the, what do you call, software or systems which are authenticated, not pirated, licensed software they would ask for. LMS, if you have got, that means some ERP where all the COP calculations done. If you have it, you simply have to tell them how it works actually. Then they give you 10 marks, irrespective of what kind of functions you're using on that ERP, but then you have and you're using it. Even if you're using it for attendance, like in our institution, we were not using for COP calculation. Those we did it manually. But for attendance, for assignments, for students, we were using it. For admissions, accounting, we were using. So we got 10 marks there. If you have got hostel, 10 marks. If you don't have, then they will give you 10 marks because it may not be required. Sports facility, indoor facility 5, outdoor facilities 5. The institution where I worked, we don't have a separate ground for us. But then AICT itself allows the ground to be shared by our parent or maybe sister concerns. So we showed the ground which was in the opposite campus of DY Patil, and then they gave us 5 months because that is allowed. AICT is accepted and NB is from AICT. So they accepted it. Indoor facilities, you need to show some room, maybe table tennis room would also do. If you have got badminton court, that is also okay. So some facilities has to be shown there. And it's not only the physical structure. You have to have some events conducted, badminton competitions ho gaye, carom competitions ho gaye, the photographs of those results, then uska policy, uska meeting, minutes of meeting, everything has to be proven, full proof. Then only you get 5 marks. Medical facilities starts right from having a first aid box somewhere kept in a proper location. Then you have to have agreement with a doctor where he is supposed to come to the campus once in a week at least, and that time student can meet that doctor. If required in an emergency, the student can go to the doctor's clinic. You can ideally have an MOU with a nearby hospital, so in case of emergency, student could be admitted there. And there they won't ask for a proof. MOU हो गया तो किसी को admit किया का? It's not possible because it might not have happened. But you have an MOU, you got doctor appointed, the doctor's attendance is supposed to be maintained. No doctor will come for free. So payment made to be to that doctor has to be reflecting on the accounts. So that has to be seen. So then their medical facilities are to be provided to the students, to the faculty, to all the stakeholders should be proven, and 10 marks you can easily get. So as I said, this is the only criterion which I see where there is a possibility of getting 100% marks, 75 out of 70. Yes, the one which are allowed by AICT. Classrooms, library, IT infrastructure, hostel is not mandatory. Sports facility you have, then it's good. Then even if it is not, that is that is okay. That is acceptable. Sports facility could be shared. Auditorium could be shared. If it is a big auditorium required, that could be accepted. So here there is a possibility. Do you have LMS with you? LMS ERP? LMS ERP is there? Okay. That's okay. हाँ. So add more PCO calculation उसमें डाल देना. Life will be easy for people. Yeah, you can integrate separate. Otherwise, when we didn't have, I didn't integrate. No, they won't ask. No. Yes. As far as you are able to calculate PO, they won't ask whether it is through LMS or manually. LMS, you can tell them for what you are using LMS. But ideal is you have COPO integrated with it. No, that saves a lot of time and a lot of phobia in the minds of people. Okay, ninth criteria is about alumni. and you have to have a legal document of alumni association. The alumni association has to be registered. You have to maintain all the data of alumni. And just like industry people coming to the campus for different activities, alumni should also be there. So if you call an alumni who's an industry person, it will take care about two things at a time: industry person's involvement as well as alumni involvement. They can call in alumni people in the campus. Methodology to connect with alumni and its implementation. I don't know whether if you are not done it, you can open a LinkedIn page. That is at you're talking about the group level. I think they should accept. They should, but I cannot guarantee that. Ideally, program wise. Oh, okay. Association is one. Fine. They might think about giving marks out of 10 there. Association part will be in question. But then as far as you are involving them in activities and you have got a method of connecting. Yeah. Only in this, then it has to be this. Then I think they should accept. I got it. From many other programs. Correct. Fine. Ideally, logically, I think they should accept. They might give you zero marks here because you don't have a separate association for PGDM. But rest all you're doing, they may give, because if they think, or if logically, if they say this is an accreditation for a program, then alumni association at parent level doesn't work. You should have to have a program level. That's what I'm not. Common. Correct.
Before considering the register or not registered, legal or non-legal.
Correct. That is what I'm saying. They may accept, they may not. I cannot give you that judgment because it totally depends only on that committee which is coming. There is no norms for alumni association. Yes. Correct. Yes. Correct. That's what I'm saying. They should accept, but they may not. Okay. You will have to convince them. But according to me, they should accept. They may, because it depends on committee. Correct. Very true. Yes, she has some point. Okay. That doesn't matter. That association should be there during your assessment year. The years in which it should be before that. That's okay. I think they should accept with whatever logic and whatever discussion. But then if some committee member, though this is being recorded, I can say that some committee member might say that I won't accept because this alumni association has to be for the program for which you're getting an accreditation. That may be, I can say somebody who's having a twist in a thought, quite possible. They should. Parent body. Yes, they can. Like COAP. COAP had only one alumni association, so they cannot have different programs. Correct. Because anyways, you have got that demarcation, no, program wise. You will come to know who are belonging to PGDM. So they should accept. I don't see any reason for that. But if you don't conduct any activities, don't involve them, then probably you will not accept. So second and third, 9.2, 9.3, if you don't do it anything there, that's okay. Correct. Even the students who are placed for summer internship project through or in alumni's company, that can also be treated here. Involvement anyway, they are generating leads for summer internship, final placement, that is also accepted. We have done it. Hmm. What is this? Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. So this. Hmm. Huh. Yes. That is accepted. Correct. Earlier it was the cases happened with Tilak University in Pune. Their degree was not accepted earlier, but they got it from a government gazette. Now even distance education now is being accepted because of this online education. They have started accepting it, so it could be possible. No, now they are accepting. If that course is under some that online, they have got a board. I don't remember the name. Distance Education Board. So if that course is accredited by distance, accepted by Distance Education Board, then they accept it. No, they are accepting. Uh-huh. Okay, maybe I don't know, but as far as my knowledge goes, they are accepting distance education. PhD, exactly. IGNOU, YCMOU. Correct. To the best of my knowledge, they are accepting. If it is there, then let me know. Fine. Okay. So this was the second last criterion. And last one is, which I have already mentioned, that how do you progress? Continuous improvement. First is action taken based on the results of evaluation of each of the POs, 20 marks. That means I've already given the example of this. If some PO is 1.3 on the scale of 3, what you have done to improvise from 1.3 to next year at least 1.5, 1.6. What you have done? Any additional programs done? Those students who are, because of whom the PO is going down, have you taken some additional efforts on that? This system calls it as weaker students and brilliant students or bright students. So weaker students, what actions you are taking on that bunch of students, what additional benefits you are giving to them, so that the PO, a particular area, will be increasing. Then academic audit and actions taken during the period of assessment. Ideally, you should have got one academic audit done from the people who usually go for NAAC PA team or NBA PA team. You call them, you can call it the mock visit and then ask them to do it an audit as well. So they will show all those documents, comments from the peer review committee or all those audit committees. We call it as AA, academic audit, academic and administrative audit, which will take care about all your financial matters as well, admission, everything. So if you have that document available, then that 10 marks could be received. Improvement in placement, higher studies, entrepreneurship. Last year's placement percentage is, let's say, 62%. What have you done to improve from 62 and any figure above that? How it is improved? So you have given more inputs for personality development to the students, so that it has been found that last year many students failed miserably in the last round of interview. So give them interview techniques workshop for 7 days, and that maybe next year that figure has gone to 62 to 64, 65. So some efforts have to be taken from your side that should be proven, as I said. Improvement in placement, higher studies, entrepreneurship. If you have got some of your sister concern who's into higher education, so can you promote your institutional students to go there and take admission there? Entrepreneurship, what you're doing. Most of the MBA institutes now, they have started with separate entrepreneurship development cell, or under the initiatives of Make in India, then skill development, NSDC. There are a lot of courses which are being conducted by the MBA institutes and as well as PGDM institute to improve entrepreneurship. And this figure, at least in our institute, we have seen that it was 7 in the first year, it was increased to some 15 or 14, and last year assessment we got 23 entrepreneurs created. And as I said, it is not only the numbers which matters, but then we will provide all the inputs given to them. So we had designed a curriculum of 30 hours, 2 credit course for entrepreneurship development, which starts from idea generation to actual implementation. And we have given 30 hours of input throughout the year. We first did a potential survey. 180 students were taken one psychometric test, which I only conduct. So out of 180, we could filter out somewhere around 40 to 45 students who have got that ability to become entrepreneur. And out of that 40 to 45, we could come with the results at 23 in the last batch. We could generate entrepreneurs actually who started with the business. And we given a lot of input to them. 30 hours we taught them. We brought in people who have started from scratch, how they succeeded, which are the mistakes which they made there. If the entrepreneur or as an entrepreneur you want to prepare or get a loan from banks, then how do you prepare a project proposal? So we got a person from bank to explain what all things are needed for such kind of proposal. We got one advocate, what are the technical legal details are required in it, one drafting person. Then we gave all those inputs. Then how do you advertise? We got one digital marketing person, taught them. And then we actually worked on a project to project basis. So from the first meeting itself, we asked them to imagine, not only imagine, but then practically try to see that they are going to start with their business rather than asking for a placement from the institution. And they actually worked out. And out of 40, we could succeed up to 23 by this addition. So we could prove that we have taken these efforts and we have resulted into entrepreneurship figure has been increased. And anyways, it will be getting counted in placement percentage also. So it adds to the placement percent. We have 23 people out of 180 is around 1.5% added to the placement figure. And last but not the least, improvement in the quality of the students admitted of the program. Now this is like starting from the ABCD. So what are you doing so that next year better students are coming to your institution? So this involves your institutional branding, then the quality of faculty members, then the quality of events, the different kind of activities which you're conducting, then COPO mapping, then maintenance of quality in whatever you are doing. So trying to see that you have got quality everywhere, and it is again proven in the forms of the different kind of figures which you have got. So that next year, now since this may not be applicable to you, because you may not be able to calculate the quality of the student coming in. But in MBA institution, affiliated university, and a centralized admission system, we do get to know that what is the cutoff level, and based on that, we'll decide that if the cutoff level is high, that institution is better, obviously. So because the students also want to have admission in such kind of the institution. So you can prove that every year your cutoff level is going up and up. That proves that your quality maintained in your institution is increasing day by day, every year by year. And that we can prove that students' quality admitted is increasing. You can prove it with some other figures in student diversity in unit number, module number 5, I mean, criterion number 5 as well. So that's how it works out. We, as decided, we'll finish, the time was actually 4 o'clock. But then 4 o'clock was including question answer, so we still have time for question answer. I have told my driver that we'll start at 5 o'clock. So we'll have 15 minutes more. Yes, questions. And I've given an open option that if I cannot, if the time was not sufficient for me to cover all the questions, and otherwise, if I cannot answer any of your questions, I will definitely be happy to answer on emails. Okay, so you can either send to ma'am, or you can directly contact me on that email. Where is it? No, it's not that. It's there on my website. Simple, my name, just put dot after doctor. Dear.ashutoshmisal@gmail.com. You can shoot me any question anytime. It is a proper scientific correct answer. Or without any accreditation, that's like accreditation. No, you will not get marks in that. Anyway, this is not criteria number 6. You'll get less marks in it. Even if you have got same MOUs and you have got one activity conducted with some international MOU, and if the committee accepts it, that's fine. So at least get the MOU signed. At least 1 or 2 activities, which is possible. not. You can directly drop the emails to the PRs of most of these big universities. They do have a separate PR department, and they have got an official email ID. And nowadays everything can be done online. You can do that. And even in online lecture, you at least try to show that we had got an online lecture person sitting there, gave a talk to our faculty, one full day FDP by that faculty. Whether they accept it or not, leave it to them. Correct. But then the reverse is also to be done. Your faculty also should do for their students. Then only they consider as an exchange. Hmm. Okay. Hmm. That is possible. Hmm. Like in my institution, I had been to Ayutthaya University again in Thailand. They have invited me on Asian strategies in education for one full day session. I went there, but their faculty didn't come to our campus. Then they accepted it, fine. Okay. Hmm. That should suffice. But if they are talking directly of exchange, then they may not accept. Okay. Now the fact remains that IITs and IIMs, those faculty members don't have to go door to door to find out consultancy. Unfortunately, we have to do that. So you have to go to industries, MIDCs through some personal contact only. There's no any other way. And try to get, even if you can do some minor project with them, that could also work out. As I did, of course, I done a lot of consultancies, but then very recently I've done one consultancy again through one contact. He told me that there is one group of Ayurvedic hospitals, which is in Pune. They have got one branch in Malaysia and one branch in Malta. So they wanted the HR policies to be designed for their Ayurveda group of hotels. They have got manufacturing by the products as well as consultancy and clinics as well as cancer hospital, women cancer specifically. So I did their entire HR manual I prepared and I prepared policies for them. That went through or that came to me from some kind of connection. And that will be 1.5 lakh rupees just in 1 month. So that is possible, but then we have to, in the institution like PGDM, we have to slot ourselves. We probably at maximum what you can think about asking connections from your parent body. Some of the parent body, they have their own businesses. So they can give a consultancy. There's no other way out. I am saying I think those academics who have their salary by only consultancies. And because of the brand name of the institution that comes to them. And that is how our international systems are talking about how you're branding, how you're identifying your institution, promoting your institution to the society. So that brand has to be created. And that can be possible only when you've got quality in whatever you do. And all these accreditations are called as quality accreditations. So comparatively, even if you can close that recording. How can we do that?